Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Democracy First, our virtual town hall for diverse civic-minded people who gather Monday through Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time to discuss current events, legislation, civics, politics, and the effect they're having on our democracy. A 2 century old work in progress shaped by we the people. We gather here to continue that work, making good trouble, welcoming new voices while treasuring the old in our conversational roundtable centered on respect, where we strive for a safe, welcoming space that is informative and inspiring because it's fact based and solution oriented. We do honor a few rules of etiquette. We understand that we can agree to disagree without being disrespectful, and we can attack arguments or ideas without attacking people. We mute our mics to speak, and we raise our hands to speak and mute our mic when we're not. And this is for sound quality and also to allow others to do so without interruptions. In other words, being respectful. A reminder, it is a daytime recorded space, so please keep this in mind with the personal information you share and the language that you use. Otherwise, we don't want you to be shy. Come on up and join us in conversation. Help us get our conversation started today. If this is your first time here, to request a mic, use the microphone icon over to the far left. We'll bring you up to speaker. Once you're brought up to speaker, use that heart icon over to the right and the hand to the right, which looks like that. Raise your hand and you will be called on to join into the conversation. I want to thank you for being here and ask that you please share and retweet the space. It is recorded, so for those who aren't able to attend, it's an opportunity for them to participate and hear this great conversation as they always are. I'm going to take a moment at this time to turn it over to my fantastic co host, Eugene, and get him to tell us what's on his mind today. And of course, it's D Day, it's election day, and I voted. So, lots of things to talk about. Of course, there are shenanigans already starting in some places, and we have plenty of time to talk about them. That's why we're here. We're going to be here all day. And I love you guys for joining. So let's get the conversation started. Eugene, how are you today? Eugene, are you there? Okay. Well, Twitter is doing something. I'm not quite sure what, but I like I said, I voted, and my one of my precinct was one of the ones that was having some issues, and I got my ballot. It was the correct ballot, and I was able to vote for all the candidates that I knew were running, and yeah, and I had the opportunity to take my granddaughter with me because they're out of school, and my polling location happens to be a elementary school near us, and so she really enjoyed that process as well. And I feel like though that's the beginning of teaching our kids civic engagement and responsibility. It's something that I did with her mother and I will continue to do. And of course, she overhears me in the spaces, in these conversations, and picks up a lot. So it's never too soon to teach kids about being good. Informed, civically engaged citizens. So Eugene has come back up, and while he is connecting, I know Graham is here and Mark. So I'm going to give you Graham. Let's see, Eugene, are you able to speak?
Wow, I don't know what's going on. I had to
Uh,
drop down and come back in.
well, it is Twitter under new ownership, so we're just going to roll with it.
Welcome to the trailer park of social media.
Welcome to the hellscape.
Well, it's voting day. I posted a video just a minute ago of me dropping my ballot off. Um, It was really easy. I love that about living here. I can put it in the mail. I could have voted any day for, I think it's the last couple weeks at least. Um, I just always like voting on voting day because I drove around to some of the ballot stations or the drop boxes just to see what was going on, make sure there was no hooligans hanging out, and everything was cool. I went out on the res, well, right on the edge of the res where everybody's dropping theirs off there. Everything was good there. Yeah, so my local area, it's really easy voting. Most people have already voted, but those that are voting for the majority, what I saw were women dropping off their ballots. I think I was the only guy in line.
Yeah, at my station, which I expected it never like super busy, just steady. When I got there, there was, in fact, they only actually have two. I think at the presidential election, because I did vote, they may have had four then, but for the primaries and things, just two. And there was one person at one of the machines, and then another in front of me signing in online and didn't take very long to sign in. They asked for my ID, asked me to sign, printed a little, well, first they printed the form once they got me to check and make sure everything was accurate. And then I signed and they printed it out and then I signed on a piece of paper. Like some people, there is a place I noticed because we talked about this where some people, they will sign on a tablet. They do have the tablet, but for whatever reason, their system is such that they just get you to review it on the tablet and then they print it and then you sign on a piece of paper and you take that over that piece of paper along with the blank ballot sheet that will be printed out after you vote. And then, you stand in line and wait. So that was my experience this morning. It was awesome. So Eugene, I'm sorry I interrupted it. I,
No,
I
that's
don't
all
know.
right. Yeah,
Okay.
my experience was is, mine came in the mail. I sat down. I was had time to like, investigate because we had a lot of judges. The only judge on the ballot was a Republican judge, right? And so, I'm not voting for him if they're a booger. So, I had time to sit down with my pecan pie and because I don't know why, but I always eat pecan pie when I think about my ballot. I don't know what that is. My dad did the same thing.
Oh,
I
well, I
think it's our
love that.
excuse of getting pecan pie, right?
Well, I would love that too because it is one of my favorite pies and one of the pies that I can make pretty good.
See, this is why we're friends, D. Right? People that make good pecan pies are my friend.
Yes, I can do that. So, well, great. I hope you enjoyed that pecan pie and the rest of the family. And, you
But
know,
the ease of it was, I choose which day, and I can walk. Like literally, it's within walking distance. But I wanted to, uh, to videotape it, so I went in my car, and like literally, it's just put it in the box, and like you're done.
all right. Well,
Didn't show
with
my ID. Didn't nothing. I mean nothing. No, nobody
well,
talked to me.
wow. I did have to show my ID, and the rule is that it has to be a picture ID. I usually start just to see, and this is the difference in just the worker. I usually start with my veteran's ID. It does not have a, birth date on it. It's actually my insurance card, but it's a picture ID and it's a state issue. So sometimes that's fine. That's good enough for him. But today she was like, "Well, your birthday isn't on here." So then I whipped out my driver's license, and it was that was the only hiccup. But it
Are you
wasn't. I
telling
just
me your military ID was not accepted?
it wasn't a military. It's my it is the military, but it's the insurance card. That
Oh,
for the veteran.
okay.
Yeah, it's not the one that has all of that stuff on it. So I just like to see, and like I said, usually it's accept. And here lately, I have never had to show my voter ID card like the one that they send us. Now, in my hometown, in my county where I voted, that's what they would ask me for. So it's just strange. So, and then they would ask for my license. But anyway, so want to go to Graham and Mark, and then Dawn was up, and she probably had something that she wanted to share. I think she put something in the nest. Oh my goodness, I see that. Black churches were burned on election day in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah, it wasn't just churches. I did a tweet earlier. There was like 6 different locations that these arsonists set on fire, and I don't know what these other locations were, but there were several churches.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And I just thought it was also like considering all the issues that we've had with our in our precincts with people being able to actually cast ballots for the right people. I thought it was pretty interesting that our Republican Secretary of State came out today and posted a number for voter fraud and something else. I'm like, okay, where's the number for voter suppression and disenfranchisement? It's like, are you kidding me right now? So, anyway. Republicans are going to Republican. Thank you so much, Donna. I appreciate that. And if you have a moment and you want to come back up and talk about it, I appreciate it. I just saw the headlines and I'm going to read that story. It breaks my heart, but it's not surprising. And we knew that on this day we would do what we have to do, and we knew that they would be doing a lot of things to stop us from doing that. So this is one of those examples. And I see that already in Pennsylvania, Fetterman has had to file a lawsuit because there's almost like 5,000 um, votes that mail-in ballots that they're trying to throw out. It's like they're 3,600 in I think maybe Allegheny County. I could be wrong on that because I'm not familiar, but one of the large counties, and um, another 1,000 in another county, and 200 in another, and all of them are largely African American, communities. So there you go. We just need to keep calling this stuff out. We're not surprised, but we just need to keep calling it out, and when necessary, figure out what our next step is going to be to stop them from continuing. So up next, we've got Graham and then Mark. And I want to thank you guys again for being here with us on this election day, a very, very important one. And please, as always, don't be shy. Come on up, join us in the conversation. We're looking forward to our conversation today here in Democracy First. And we're going to be having spaces where we're going to have the opportunity to have conversations around it all day long. And I'm going to find that one that lists the ones that are being hosted by the collective, and just invite you guys to join us. It's going to be a great night. I see victory. So now, really, Graham, this time for real, I am giving you the mic and then Mark.
I hate to break this news to you, but Mark was first.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I love how, respectful and, you know, just alert you guys are. So thank you so much. So, Mark and then Graham.
You could have gone ahead, Graham. It doesn't matter. So anyway, just real quick, I talked less, I think, maybe. So I have some close friends that I've kind of been estranged from for the last few years, and intercepted a conversation that the one is the parents of my godchildren, and intercepted a conversation they were having with their mother about make sure you're voting tomorrow because we can't allow Roe to be overturned. So I was really pleased with that, and that kind of made my day or my night to see that they're finally at least protecting their own rights. Unfortunately, they didn't want to protect anybody else's, but a vote blue is a vote blue at this point, and I was happy to see that. I was also happy to see today when I went by my polling place that there was a good sized line, and I actually talked to one of my friends who voted this morning here, and they said the wait wasn't that long, but there was a nice steady stream of people going in and out, so that gives me hope. Eugene, and Dee, I have probably 12 or 14 pecan trees in my yard. So I think we need to get together and work something out here.
For
So it,
sure, for sure. We're going to talk about those pecans, Mark. Oh, yes. I knew there was a reason I liked you.
that's this week while listening to Spaces. That's what I do is I've been going out and picking up pecans. So, I have to keep my hands busy. So anyway, thank you.
Oh man,
Well,
my
thank
mouth
you.
is watering.
I know, I know. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate that. So glad you came up, joined us in conversation today. So we're going to go next to Graham
So I
and
just want to
then
say real quick,
Fish.
last night I made pecan Brussels sprouts, the garlic pecan Brussels sprouts, the dish I make with some Parmesan on top.
I'm
Oh,
actually
yum.
I've been on a special diet for like 20 some years, and I actually use pecan flour in a lot of recipes. So it's nice to not have to go through the expense of, ordering that stuff. Now I can just go out in the yard and pick it up. So anyway,
That is that is awesome. I love it. So, Graham, you're up next.
Oh, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Ian Eugene. Happy Election Day. It's good to see all the. I put your tweets up in the SD, Eugene. Your I voted tweets. Yeah, so it's been a lot of work. It's been a pleasure, spending time with you guys, learning about American politics. I'm up to date on all my activities. I created that list from Tiff and Shauna. I've been liking and amplifying candidates for months on end. So it's good to see, election day is finally here, and that some people have had their great voting experience, and obviously, there's going to be bumpy roads as well. But it's good to see, Dee, that you got out to vote, and I'm grateful that you both got out and had a good time. And today I went through my list of candidates, and I just wish them a happy election day, and I thank them for stepping up and uh, you know being a candidate to run for public service, public office. Um, you know, America needs all the help we can get right now. I'm looking forward to today. I love election day. I love election day in Canada and America. I love a good election day. So I'm excited to see. Hopefully, some of these races can be called early. I'm crossing my fingers. I'd love to see Stacey Abrams, shut down the question marks and start pretty early. Looking forward to just being with you guys today. I know it's a special day in America, day when people exercise their freedom, exercise their democracy, and get out there and vote. And I'm really thankful, and I'm really sort of optimistic about like where this collective is heading. Eugene and I were talking about this earlier in the space today. That if candidates should be begging to be vetted by this group and promoted by this group. I think it's an excellent little formula, and I think it really is an amazing tool for people to have access to the candidates, to ask questions, and really get a good feeling of where these candidates stand, and how how eager they are to step in office. And I always loved your question, like why did you get into office? And a few of the candidates, as soon as they said January 6th, it's like boom, you're dealing with some serious commitment. So I really love what this collective has done, and I really love the idea of what this collective can achieve in the future, and as bending this arc of justice day by day, jumping on the arc, trying to get this thing to bend faster. So I'm just really inspired and grateful for everybody here. I love all you guys, and I just really hope it's a peaceful day, and it's a day that will be a historic victory for America. So thank you, and looking forward to the conversation today.
Well, thank you so much, Graham. And we want to thank you for all of your contributions and support here in our Democracy First space and in our collective community, because I know that you attend many of them and are very actively supporting. And I appreciate that you come here, you understand American politics, but you're also able to show and share with us what is going on there at our northern border and help us to get a better understanding of how um, the things that are going on here are going on throughout, the world. And sometimes, just like I talk about from state to state, things that are going on that we need to be aware of and share, because likely it will be tried somewhere else. So I feel that same thing occurs from country to country. So I love that you come and share and compare and warn us about things that are already going on there that look like they could be coming here, and how remedies that you guys have found for things that bubbled up there that have been occurring here. And while our countries are different, there are many similarities, and so I appreciate you and the contributions you've made to our community. So thank you so very much. And up next, we've got Fish and then Miss K.
Hi, Dee. Hey, Eugene. Thanks for the space and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Uh, uh, well, two things. First, Eugene, are you driving in that video you posted? Because I want to know what you're driving on the right side, if you are.
So it's the way that when you flip your camera. When I first looked at it, I'm like, "Oh, am I in England? So did I just vote in the wrong election?"
Okay. Well, I'm glad I wasn't the only one. But and if we're dropping recipes, if you have to get Brussels sprouts down, I don't do garlic, the devil's herb. I just don't touch it. But uh, fried Brussels sprouts with bacon, Parmesan, and honey, you're welcome.
Oh,
So
wow. That sounds
That's a good
delish.
one, actually. I know that one too, and that's probably better than my pecan one, actually.
well, I'm sure you guys know how to make what you like. So I mean, I came in to do the usual roundup we've been doing. Great space since February. Everybody, the day's finally here and all that. Uh, but I'll be honest. This news that I hadn't seen until it was put up in the nest by Dawn about the churches in Jackson just has. Yeah, I'm not even in the mood anymore. I'm just continue to be horrified and ashamed. Really, not that it's new, but frankly because it's not. Um, so I'll settle on that stuff. But I think we all know how we feel about each other in here. So just I'll reiterate that. Um, I shared a tweet that I put up that has a space embedded in it that Dawn put in front of me this morning, and it's really worth a listen for two reasons. One, it's a really nice breakdown on the economy. It's simple and it's very positive. Um, I would say the second reason I put it in there is to show that it's very positive and it's election day. And, it was somewhat comforting, although very late to the table, but there's a whole lot in there that brings you right back to Danny and Dawn's media space because you actually have, two guys from Bloomberg, well, primarily one, blasting the economy. I mean, blasting the media's coverage, calling it lazy, Nobody's pursuing the truth by looking at data and history. All of the things that Danny's been saying, and yet here we are. The proof is in the pudding. Namely, why is inflation even being talked about right now when it was a global issue caused by the pandemic? And they're saying because journalists were too lazy to go out and find the economists that refute what the right has been saying. I don't know where this has been for the last 6 months, but anyway, it is a good listen. And so if anybody has the time, feel free to check that out. But I just couldn't believe what they were saying on the day itself, for crying out loud. Anyhow, thanks so much. Talk to you later.
Thank you, Fish. I appreciate that. Yes, and I think it's
And thank you for
interesting
all
that
your contributions, Fish. I mean, like, I've learned a lot from you financially over the last. You've been a little gold nugget of that. I appreciate it.
absolutely. And I think something that you said made me think about. Oh, geez, I just lost my. Uh, it'll come back to me. But yeah, the article on the church, it did take a little steam out, but it's not new. Oh, I know what it was. You were talking about they came out on this day with that. I just happened to be scrolling through and heard someone on CNN pretty much do the same thing, admitting that their polling was like the way that they were doing it was bad. Like they weren't taking in, to account changes that have actually occurred. Like they're still using old models and things. And like after this election, they're going to have to rethink that and see how they do going forward. And it was two people. Bakari Sellers was one of them, and he kind of, just co-signed what that person had said. But again, Fish, it just reminded me of what you just said, and that like you say that today after you guys, I don't watch them all the time, but I'm pretty sure you were probably, chiming in on some of them that were, pushing these polls that, we're trying to get people that doom and gloom or scared or it doesn't matter kind of thing. Just not well done, you know. So thanks so much. I appreciate it. And up next, we've got Miss Kay. So glad you
Hey,
joined us
hey,
today.
hey, D. I want to jump in real quick. This is off topic, but it is coming up on my radar as far as news. Um, the Moscow Times is reporting that all flights into Turkey have been canceled. Turkey, they're saying that Turkey's saying they can't fly there now. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal, actually. Most of the air traffic that's come in and out of Russia, out of country, has been, excuse me, going into Turkey. So
You're
I just
saying
wanted,
all flights.
yes, all flights.
Okay. Thank you so much. If you have something that you can post so that we can, kind of continue to follow it, that would be great. Appreciate
Well,
that.
so here's the deal. It's the Russian Times. That's why I'm reporting it and not,
And who
I'm not
hasn't
putting it up
reported
in
it?
the.
Well, I mean, likely, if there are probably going to be some other report sources reporting. So if you can find something, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll start
So
looking.
all right. So MSK is next, then Sweet Pea and Q.
Hi, good morning or good afternoon. How are you? Um,
Great. Glad to have you here today. Haven't seen you in a while.
yeah, I miss you, actually.
Well, likewise. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Um, but I am concerned about a lot of things, and today is voting day. So my ballots have filled out. Basically, I voted, already, except I haven't submitted my votes, and I have questions about the language of props and that kind of thing, because most of the time, I think I'm not alone in this. Voters
are given language that indicates both sides within one paragraph. It'd be like me saying in one paragraph or one tweet as much information as possible. You know what
Right.
I'm
There,
saying?
yeah, sure. We've kind of talked about this before, how they're designed to be, confusing on purpose. And one great suggestion, I don't know if you're aware, but the Democratic Party sites often have pages like help sheets on explaining those if you are, in doubt of how they, you know, what they really mean and how you should vote to, save our democracy, which I know you're trying to do, and, to protect the rights of the citizens. I forgot, what area are you in?
I'm in California.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure that they do. If someone has that resource, I'll see what I can find and I'll send it to
Oh,
you.
that's that's okay. But
Okay, you got it.
for
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I found this Cal Matters website and whatnot. And I can read about a lot of the details and that kind of thing.
Great. That, yeah,
But
good.
part of why I brought that up is just because you have so many listeners, and they're all voters, right? You're all voters, I hope.
Oh yeah, this is a very civically engaged, community here, and we get other people to vote too. We have like mega tax bank leaders and stuff in here, so yeah.
Okay, good. I'm so glad. I'm really glad to hear that. Anyhow, how are you otherwise?
I am doing great, just continuing to kind of come here every day with Eugene and you guys, and have the conversations that we need to have, that's vital to saving our democracy and what we can do about it. And I am, happy that I feel encouraged because of this community, and people knowing that they are just a slice of Americans who understand what's at stake and understand what they need to do. So I feel very encouraged, and in part, it's from the conversations and the relationships and community that I have found here on Twitter, and you're part of that. So I'm so glad that you are completing your ballot, and I'm glad that you came in to join into the conversation with us today. I mean, we're battling some things here in Tennessee, but it's a GOP supermajority. So they're doing what they do when they have power like that. And of course, I and many others here in the state are going to continue to keep fighting, because it wasn't always this way, and we know it's not going to stay this way. But we have to work to change
I know you're devoted.
it.
I know you're devoted. Remember that song by Arrested Development? Tennessee,
Oh yes.
Tennessee.
I
Well, tell me about it.
Well, let's stick a pin in that. And I do have a lot of hands up, so I kind of want to get to
Oh,
them.
right, right. Well,
Okay,
hopefully
and
other people will want to talk about that song because language only can speak so much, but emotion through language speaks volumes. And you speak volumes to me. I'm just going to put it there.
well, thank you. You're so kind. And I, again, like I said, I'm so glad that you came in to join us today. And I have missed you, but like I'm glad that you were here today, and I hope you stick around for a while for what I am sure is going to just be a wonderful conversation. And I'm going to move to our hands, and up next we've got Sweet Pea, Q, Miss Dr. Marshall, and then Allie. And I want to thank you guys again for being here and making this just such an awesome experience for Eugene and I. And so
Dee, are you
now,
there?
Yeah, Eugene, you must be having trouble with your mic. Sweet Pea, you're next. I'm going to drop you down and bring you back up. Okay.
I'm here.
Can you hear me?
I can now. I don't know
Uh,
what happened.
I don't know what's going on with your apparatuses over there today.
I've tried. I've got 3 phones sitting here. I've used them all now. It's not my phone. It's not me.
All right. Well, we're just gonna, you know, we're just gonna keep going. We won't be deterred, but if you need to drop down and come back, do it. I'll bring you back. All right. So let's go to the hands. Sweet Pea, Q, Dr. Marshall, and Allie.
Well, good afternoon and hello, everybody. I'll be really quick because I found out a piece of news yesterday I didn't know before. Election Day in Virginia is a state holiday. Who knew? I live here and I didn't. I just found out yesterday. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. But um, I think there's funny things going on with Twitter. So that might be. I mean, it happened to me last night. I couldn't sleep, so I was up until 6 a.m. and had a handful of people in a room, and ended up getting kicked out. So that might be the problem. All right, well, everybody, we got this. I feel good. I feel really good. I'm sorry to hear about Mississippi, but I don't know why we should be surprised. Um, but we're gonna turn this. We're gonna right this ship. We're gonna turn it around, and we're gonna come out ahead. I really believe that with all of the fiber in my being. So thank you so much. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else today. It's going to be a long one, so buckle up.
All
Thank you.
right. Thanks, Sweet Pea, and we're glad that you're here today. We want you here, and we're so glad and thankful for all the work that you have done. And when you do the work, you can feel confident, about the results that you're going to get. And that's where I am today, and that is because of you guys. I feel confident. We have done everything that we can, and we're going to continue to do that. I know that there are people in here listening who are currently working and doing it. They're, poll watchers and poll workers, and people will keep working up until those polls close. And if there is work needed to be done after, we have the community that will do that too. When we need to have lawsuits and call to account, we're aware, and we're going to continue to stay aware and do what we need to save our democracy that they're working so hard to destroy. So thank you, Sweet Pea. We love you. And I just want to say thank you for all the work that you've done, all the postcards and text banking and conversations, and just, coming and contributing your wonderful Sweet Pea voice. Okay.
Thank you.
All
Thanks.
right.
Thank you, everybody. I love you guys.
Well, we love
Sweet
you
Pea,
too.
you've been an amazing contribution to this space. You've given me a lot of giggles. I'll never forget toenails for the rest of my life.
That's funny because I'm growing my toenails out right now. I'm actually going to send her an annual toenail card every Valentine's Day. I don't want her to forget.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that one too. So, maybe if we have some time, we can we can tell that story. The early Democracy First space participants will know what we're talking about. So,
Y'all,
thank
this
you.
this is why D is now the host of this, because when I was hosting it first, like this space got a little wild, and like somebody needed to come in and like it's
All right. So, we're going to continue with our hands. We've got Q, Dr. Mary, and Allie, and I'm bringing Mark up. So, all right, let's keep this conversation rolling. It is election day. All right, Q, you're up next.
Good afternoon, Dean, Eugene, and everyone. Hope everyone is keeping their. Well, I'm trying to keep my angst in check. Let me just speak for myself. So yeah, regarding something that one of the other speakers, I'm in Maryland, so it's a pretty reliably blue state. We have had a Republican governor for 8 years, Larry Hogan. This has typically been the state where it's like, yeah, we're not going to elect, although this election will be a test because Dan Cox is the most extreme Republican that has ever been on the ballot in Maryland. Typically, it's always been, yeah, you really can't elect one of those crazies in Maryland. Larry Hogan was a moderate who a lot of Democrats supported. I've been reading a lot of, people who have voted for Hogan in both elections are voting for Wes Moore, who is the Democratic candidate who will be, I think, only the nation's third black governor and Maryland's first black governor, which was also put to the test when Anthony Brown ran against Larry Hogan, and that didn't turn out the way that he was thinking. But Wes Moore's had a much better infrastructure in place, a much better get out the vote operation. So I'm pretty confident about Maryland's race. But what one of the speakers was saying, yeah, I mean, when I get my ballot that sort of goes over who my options are before I go to the poll. Yeah, and I'm a policy wonk, like what I do in my job in terms of, writing policy and whatnot. There were a bunch of constitutional amendments that were up, and the language is confusing. So I make sure to do a lot, and even when I went after was pretty confident in doing the research before I went to actually vote, I still found myself just like rereading. I was like, I thought I understood this.
I did the
And
same thing. Like I knew about those amendments we had and I was like, I know, but it did make me anxious because I know they're
yes,
trying to trip me up.
yeah, I mean, that's what happened with Prop 8 in California. It was written in a way that some people who voted yes thought actually meant to should vote no, and then vice versa. So, but yeah, I make it a point to really make sure that I research the judges. A lot of them run unopposed, but I live in a red county in Maryland. It's very heavily red. There's some, people who were at the insurrection and, who are Trump backers, but it's still a pretty reliably blue state. But some of the judges I did write-ins and whatnot, but a lot of those judges go unopposed. But people really need to do their research for anyone that gets the information before they go and vote. What's going to happen today? I don't think anybody knows. I think that there are so many variables out there. What my hope is that the polls are so wrong that all of them have to just start from scratch going into 2024. That is my hope. But
They are cute. Like I said, I couldn't hear all of the conversation because I really wasn't tuned in. I just kind of had it on and tuned into that conversation. And I'm telling you, these people who are involved in these polls and reporting on them or conversating and opining on them, they're already saying that today. Like they didn't do a good job.
yeah, I mean, there were some early indicators before the economy really took over and inflation got worse. Like a special election in New York that went to the Democrat that people were saying at any other time this should have easily been Republican win. And the Kansas ballot, that overwhelmingly was defeated or went through in terms of, making sure that abortion rights would be possible. But, some people believe there's going to be a red tsunami. Some people believe there's going to be a blue tsunami. It's not going to be both. So, at this point, we just have to wait and see. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some shenanigans that will happen to where we won't know. Hopefully, we'll have an early indicator by some races in terms of where the night is going. But yeah, I mean, and for the people that are nervous and, not having a good feeling, there's a lot of people on this Twitter sphere that, really, they'll block those people. And as someone who does clinical therapy part-time, I always, sort of slide in those people and send them a private message. I'm like, listen, if you need to vent about your nervousness, then just DM me. Like, I think that there needs to be an outlet for people who are nervous, because there is a lot on the line for this. And it's fine to, if I understand people want good energy around them always, but it's fine to be nervous. For certain populations and demographics, there's a lot on the line in terms of their rights. There are some people that are going to be okay regardless of what happens. I'm going to be okay regardless of what happens. I make a very good salary. Inflation hasn't really hurt me. I bought my house when interest rates were really low, and I refied before the economy got really bad. And so, but I think collectively. I don't think on an individualistic manner. So I have nervous angst for other people who do have a lot on the line. Women, I'm part of the LGBTQ community. And other marginalized groups who, there's a lot on the line for this election. So if anybody, is sort of faking the funk but really wants to, like, hey, can I talk? I mean, it's even come up in some of my therapy sessions with people who are really nervous about what's going to happen for the election. So it's fine to be nervous. I don't think that you need to be called a Debbie Downer or, oh, you're just bringing bad energy, because that's okay. It's okay to do that. For people that want
Yeah,
to be confident, that's great. If, I'm cautiously optimistic, because I do think there are a lot of variables that, in terms, we just don't know. There are a lot more laws in place that were not in place for the 2020 election. Those have to be taken into consideration. I think that the women's vote, in terms of Roe and sort of what we're seeing in the early turnout numbers. So there's a lot of variables that are going on that I think make it impossible for any side to be really confident about what is going to happen. So at this point, it's just going to be a wait and see. We're not going to know. I think we may know the results of House races tonight. I think the Senate may be different, because if neither Warnock or Walker get to 50%, then they have to go to a runoff. So it's like the Georgia one may still be in play after today for yet another runoff election. So I would just say, for people, whatever you do to sort of get your nervous energy out, do that, hopefully in a positive way. And, spaces like these are good for us to come together as a collective and be able to, talk about how we feel. I think, it's one of the great things about spaces, because there's a lot of people out there who may not have anyone in their household or may not have anyone else to talk to. And so this is a really good space for people to feel and come together like they do have a community, to be able to share whatever their fears, their positivity. And, I appreciate the fact that this space is always very supportive of whatever opinion someone has. So I'll land my plane there.
thank you so much. And how timely and important what you said about sometimes people need to express this anxiety and, nervousness. And, sometimes people need to avoid it. Ultimately, we need to do what is necessary to protect, our personal peace. I am one of those people who kind of am wired naturally toward anxiousness, and I work to tap it down. So I do avoid the anxiousness of others because I don't want that energy, but I don't want them to be shut down. I'm just doing it to protect myself and my peace. But I love that you offer the ability for people who need to do that, to give them a place to do that. So thank you so much for that. And I hope you can stick around some today. Always love it when you can join us in conversation. I know you're often listening, but don't, have an opportunity to come up and speak. But thank you so much today for, coming up and sharing what I think is very important information. So Again, we're going to go next to Dr. Marshall and then Ali and Mark. Mark, do you have some time? I want to make sure we get to him. So, not sure what his.
Yep.
Okay, great. So, we're going to go Dr. Marshall, Ali, Mark, and then we have a new voice here in the conversation, Sharon. Looking forward to hearing from her. So, go ahead, Dr. Marshall, you're up next.
Hello, everybody. I voted early. As you know, I've been posting my little video and my bracelets. Well, what I wanted to share, besides saying it's just really great to hear all of you, see your faces, and it's kind of like coming home for me in the afternoons, especially if I've had a morning like I did today. But I want to start with church burning. That was one of the first posts I saw this morning. And same old, but it hurts our community. And of course, it was done deliberately because today is election day. And perhaps the crazies thought that some of the churches were polling sites. But if they thought that would have stopped anyone in those communities, if they were polling sites, if they thought that would stop Black folk from voting, then they just need a history lesson. More than a history lesson. I had to delete my first comments. I am not a violent person, but as I've told my students when I was teaching, I can't see myself firing a gun. But if there's a war and we all have to participate, I may not be able to fire the gun, but you better be damn sure I'll be on the loading line so you don't have to keep loading your gun. I'll be on the feed, putting the bullets in and making sure all you have to do is drop the gun and pick up the next one. Because since I can't fire it, that doesn't mean I can't help you fire even faster. My students thought, wow, Dr. Marshall, I can't believe you. I'm like, listen, it's about life and death. I care about my life. I care about your life. I care about the lives of our community. And if it comes to that, then we all have to do what we're able to do. So that kind of leads me to my morning. I had an eye appointment, and as the driver we were passing the New York Museum of History, and I saw all these people at 8:30 in the morning. I know the museum opens early, but it didn't hit me until we were like half past that was their voting place. So after he dropped off another person who was in the cab, we started talking, and I asked him, had he voted? Young guy, mid-20s perhaps. And he said no, and that he wasn't planning to. And it was all I could do to hold on to my seat and not start screaming at him. So we had a conversation, and I asked why he wasn't going to vote. And he just said basically he didn't have time because he needed to work. And I said to him, I understand that you need to work. What time did you start? 7 a.m. How many hours do you work? 12. I said, well, based on the time right now, you're going to finish up around 7. New York City polls don't close until 9 p.m. I know when you get off, you're going to be hungry, you're going to be tired, but please don't go home, because if you do, you're going to lay down, do whatever you do to relax, and you're probably not going to come back out until after the polls close. So may I suggest that when you get off, park somewhere, take a nap, and if you want to give me your phone number, I'll text you to wake you up. The bottom line is, go to the polls around 8 o'clock. Pick up a few seniors And while you're picking them up to take them home, ask a poll worker or somebody, hey, I'm willing to drive a few people home for a couple of, maybe 15, 20 minutes. When I come back, could you let me kind of break the line? And so that I can vote, because I've been out working all day. Everybody's been out working all day. But maybe if you do that good deed and take a few seniors home, perhaps, somebody will let you in the line. The important thing is whether they do or not, and whether you take anybody home or not. If you go around 8:15, 8:30, New York law says that if you're in line when they close at 9, you can still vote. We need your vote. And when you go in, don't even think about it. Just vote blue, vote Democratic, straight up and down the line. Now, I've already voted, and I told them there are going to be one or two places. I couldn't remember exactly. But I know that there were either judge positions or some other local position where there were 2 Democrats. I said, I don't care which one you choose. Just make sure it's a Democrat. Just stay to your left and go up and down. We talked a little bit more, and I was really pleased. And I'm hoping that he'll follow through, because then we started talking about other things. And by the time we got to where he was dropping me off, he said, tell me again what I need to do. And I just yeah, I got through. Now, hopefully he'll follow through. But I repeated, because I was really early for my appointments. I had time. I repeated that given his schedule, when he finishes at 7, make sure you eat, make sure you get what you need to drink, and wait until about 8, because I know driving 12 hours a day for anybody, that's a lot of driving when you do this every day. A lot of people think driving it's fun, but it's tiring too when you're picking up and dropping off, and not everybody is pleasant. So I said, take some time to rest, but just don't go home, because I just felt like if he goes home, he's going to get relaxed, go to sleep, and that's it, especially since his intent was not to vote. And so I was happy that we had an opportunity to talk about other things in the meantime. And he was Spanish and was speaking Spanish to someone on the phone most of the time. So just before I got out, I told him in my limited Spanish that I understood what he was talking about. I said, you don't have to worry about me sharing, because my Spanish isn't good enough for me to repeat it. However, I just want to caution you that when you have other people in the car, you just don't know who's listening. So I would be a little more careful about what I talk to my friends about on the phone, because I understood what you were talking about. I just didn't, give you an opinion. And I'm only giving it to you now because we kind of established a little bit of a relationship at the end. And I'm so happy to hear that you're going to go and vote. So I felt as though I had accomplished something more than I expected today, given that I had voted early on the first day of early voting here. I didn't expect to really encounter anyone who hadn't voted. I've bugged my neighbors' friends, anybody coming in and out of the building with me. And so I knew there wasn't a whole lot more that I could do, but I just felt like, the universe stepped in. He needed to hear from someone who would be kind, and I couldn't hear my own voice, but hopefully soft spoken, and that he would be encouraged. The last thing that I just wanted to say to everybody here, and to those who are working and tuning in and out, who might miss my little speech here, I just wanted you to know how appreciative I am that I found this space, that I've gotten to know you, that you've gotten to know me. My reason for joining Twitter in the first place was because I felt isolated. Having a chronic illness doesn't always allow you to interact with other people. On top of a chronic illness, sometimes I don't have the ability to speak. And so, what this space has given me is not only an opportunity to speak, to share information, to learn, to get to know people that I wouldn't otherwise have known because I wouldn't have been on Twitter. It's given me an opportunity to share all this wealth of knowledge, and I'm not bragging, but God has blessed me to earn 4 degrees, even during the worst of my illness. I was able to finish my doctorate, but I wasn't able to continue working because of the severity of the injuries that I had. And so I've taken every opportunity that I got or could find to volunteer and share what I learned over the course of my life. Because I just felt that I would be committing, and I really feel this way. I feel and felt that I would be committing a crime, a sin, if I allowed myself to just shrivel up and die without emptying out what has been poured into me by strangers, by friends, by people throughout the course of my life who saw something in me that I didn't see and encouraged me to do what I've done. I went through all of these degrees on fellowships, not because I consider myself the brightest person in the world, but I'm very determined. If you tell me about a scholarship, a fellowship, a way I can get money, I am going to do whatever it takes to fill out the application. And if I get it, fine. If I don't, then I've done all that I could do. I might even make some calls and try to find out what's taking you so long to make a decision. Because that's the way I was raised, by people who had a dream and they poured into me. And I just felt I have an obligation to pour into them, into others. So while I couldn't do a lot of things that many of you were doing and continue to do and will continue to do regarding voting, I thought that I could contribute by reminding us and everybody else that we didn't come to voting easily. We fought. We're still fighting. And so I've posted a lot of historical information, some from my own archive, but some from wherever I got it from, if I thought it fit and would help to encourage someone who read it to register to vote, go out and do what you can do to move not only the Black and Brown community forward, but to move all of us forward. Because divided, we really will fail. But if we come together as much as possible as one, then we'll make a lot more progress. So, as much as you may have thought I gave to you, you gave this community, each of you gave me so much more. And I don't plan to go anywhere. I don't know what's going to happen with Twitter and all these other things, but I will hang in for a while. But for sure, I will continue to contribute as much as I can, as often as I can. And I thank you for listening, for loving me, supporting me, and just being there. Even when you didn't know, perhaps, that on some particular days I actually needed you to be there because of how I felt. I don't always tell the truth about how I'm feeling. I'm sure some of you guessed that. It's not because I don't want to share, but I'm an optimist, and I believe if I speak to the universe and say, I feel good, even when I feel poorly, I will ultimately, in a given space of time, start to feel better than I did at the moment when I was feeling badly. So today is a good day because I actually do feel really good. And with that, I am just going to say thank you and I love you. I like the idea of docking, no, what is it, landing my plane and docking your boat and all the other phrases I've heard. But I'm just going to say I love you. Thank you, Dee. Thank you, Eugene. Thank you, Don. Thank you for all of those whom I know have worked overtime and who are really physically tired, but are mentally and energized and inspired because you see the evidence of your work. And I include me as part of the evidence of your work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Marshall, and absolutely, that is what I was going to say. Yes,
I
you.
have learned so much from you. Are you kidding? Oh my gosh.
So up next, I know because she was up here, she shared the article. I'm going to move the queue around a little bit. I'm going to go to Dawn and then pick back up with Allie and Mark and Shauna. That's okay, because I know she's probably working. Dawn?
Can you hear me okay? I'm a little under the weather.
I know, poor baby. Yes, feel better. Sending you loving, healing energy.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Marshall, because you just brought a calm to a storm. And for what you said, and thank you for everything that you bring to this collective and all of you. What happened in Mississippi today, I don't think anybody, I think everyone who woke up this morning was pretty surprised who was local there. And I don't know if anyone has seen the map, but I'll make sure I get it up in the Jumbotron. It was around Jackson State University. And those of you who know, that's historical HBCU. And around there is where majority of your votes are. And you know that I think Shawaski Young, I'm sure other candidates have gone around that area that is a heavily depressed area because most of universities are in a depressed area in the South. I think those who know, like probably
Especially the
DePrice.
HBCUs,
Exactly.
Tennessee State and Fisk University. Yes.
Hmm. And so my thing is, it's sending a message. So the ride off the South or to say something like, oh, are we surprised? That is what they've been oppressed for years. But make no mistake, they are out of the 50s and 60s. They're sending a message that they are willing to go back there. If you look in the Jumbotron, I just found this out just within being up on this panel, that there was a bomb threat, a second one within a week in New Orleans, in Kenner area, a heavily Black populated area, not too far from Metairie. I'm very familiar with the location. Now there's a bomb threat, so people can't come there to vote today. They're going to have to change their polling location. And this is nothing but a test run to see if this will work. You have people in Georgia, they're basically sending a message saying, look, we're not going to have it here in Mississippi, what's happening in Georgia. We're not going to have it in Louisiana. And I'm sure Alabama is the same. People are on edge. I'm in the Gulf Coast in Alabama at this time. Don't write off the red states. There are pockets there, and they know their worth and their power, but too many times they've been overlooked. That was everything that Shauna did, that her initiative in recognizing people in the South, because that is the majority of the Black vote. So we shouldn't ride them off. They know their worth, but they are too tired and oppressed to go to the polls because they say, oh, well, no one cares anyway.
Exactly. And we are tired of being written off because this is our history. Thank you for saying that, Dawn.
So I just wanted to put that out there. But don't pay attention to the red mirage today. We know how that goes down. Um, and it goes all across the areas. But it just, this is sending a message. And if this works, they're going to do it again. We saw what happened January 6th. So I just wanted to put that out there. But thank you guys. Thank you, Dr. Marshall, for your motivating words. Just thank all of you in this collective. The work is being done, even in some of these places that people write off. You may not see it all the time. And people may not amplify or put it out there, but they do the work and they are trying. Just wanted to say that.
Thank you so much, Dawn, for saying that. And I am going to pick back up with the hands, but this is a great time because of what you said and Dr. Marshall as well. Like, it is important, and Q, it is important for us to continue to protect our peace. These incidents that are happening are not new to us in the African American community. I mean, the Mississippi has seen a lot of church bombings and violence around these things. And we're going to continue to do the work. As Dr. Marshall said, I'm going to work in whatever vineyard and whatever way that I can to continue pushing for our democracy, not only to save it, but to perfect it, to make it better, because that's what this is. This is a representative democracy, and they're trying to wipe out a certain demographic of people so that they don't have representation. But it really just gives me fuel. I am going to continue to fight. This has been a very long, committed um, action for me, just holding this space, and it is because I do care so deeply about it, and I will continue to work to improve it. It's a lifelong work for me and commitment. But I do want to let you guys know I will be taking a break. Eugene is going to be continuing, and at this point I'm going to be here on Mondays. I'll be doing it one day a week, and Eugene will be continuing it, and we want to be able to have a space and um, here for people to gather and to continue to do the work, because the work is not it's not over. And I just want to thank all of you in here who many of you are here on the stage now, for doing all the work that you do. And I know that that you're going to be continuing that work as well, and that is also what gives me hope, because as many of you know, like, this is my passion. But I wear my family and the people in my real life circles out with this kind of talk. They know this about me, and so it's good to be able to have conversations with other people who don't think I'm crazy and I'm an alarmist. Because in much the same way as Dr. Marshall said, I am surrounded by people in my family and my community who are just trying to survive. They don't have time to be tuned into, politics and polls, and, they're just trying to make a living. But I guarantee when you talk to them and they understand how their ability to make a better living and have a better quality of life intersects with their understanding of politics and being involved, they will get engaged and involved. And I love you for sharing that example, because I've had many of those with my rideshare drivers, and that's where it starts. Having a conversation, which is why we started having this space. A lot of ripple effects from conversations, and I am just so grateful and humbled by what I have seen bloom and blossom from the conversations in this space, and all of those who have contributed, fertilizing that soil and going off and blooming on their own and shining. And we love it, we need it, and we know that it's not going to stop. So with that, I'm going to say, go continue with the hands. Ali is next, then Mark, then Shauna.
Hey, you guys. Wow, big deep breath. I'm very moved to have been welcomed into this space and to have found you guys. And I thank you for so many things. Kay, when you said the thing about how whatever happens at the end of this election, it's going to affect different ones of us differently. That's absolutely true. And well, I feel very optimistic. I also feel very sobered, by once again, another proof of the level of violence and hate and just disgusting behavior or bigotry that exists in our country. So I won't go on about it a bit. I think other people will be talking about it. I did want to just give you thanks. Dr. Marshall, you reached out to me a little bit at a point where I was pretty low about after having I've spent about 7 years recovering from a really serious accident and COVID and quite isolated over here, not only because of my physical condition, but also because I've been away from the States and watching these kind of astoundingly, shockingly things unfolding as I have watched from afar. And I think the first thing that hit me really strongly was when I saw a Black member of an audience at a Trump rally get hit and removed from the audience, and I was just I knew we were in a whole different place, and but I didn't know what to do. I didn't really have a way to help too much, and I was like tweeting madly, and so respectful of Black women's intelligence and their voting patterns. So I kind of gravitated towards different folks, and I just thank you so much. So many of you have meant so much to me during this time. And it's beyond that, I think what we create as a group, as a collective and a community is so much more powerful than each of us. And yet there's so many precious and just astoundingly beautiful souls that have come together here with so much knowledge to share. I so appreciate that. It's been a treasure, and as we go through, the next phases, and go through that together perhaps in different ways. I'm really, really thankful for this time and that we've spent and the things that we've spent together. And thank you for so much learning, so much kindness, and I almost didn't get my vote in today because there had been a problem with the overseas voting, and I had to do it again. And was really happy to get it in, so I just kind of stuck it up there in the nest. But it has been such a pleasure and joy, and there's been sorrow and tears and love and laughter, and I love all of you, and thank you so much for everything. And I'm very optimistic, and thank you so much for all of your work. So many of you, I can't, the dedication that has been shown by Dee and Eugene, and many of you, Shauna, Dawn, and Dr. Marshall, you have affected so many of us, and thank you so much for your life's work and your witness. And I've watched how you've recovered and worked with your situation, and hoped, to have a bit of that grace in my own kind of dilemmas about how to move forward in my life as well. So I thank you for that. Anyway, there's so many of you that I love and feel so close to in here. There's a few that may not have realized I needed to change accounts and stuff. And if you can, let's just try and stay in touch. And so just much love to you, and all the best. Thank you.
Right back at you, Allie. Mark, do you have a few more moments? I think Tamina came in, and I think she is short on time and wanted to share some important information on
Yeah,
the
she's
ground.
out working the polls right now. So
Yeah, Mark, you got a few moments, and you're going to be next, if
No,
that's
no, no
okay.
problem.
Yeah, I'll be quick. Let me tell you something. The kids is out here. The
No
kids is
problem.
out here. And it's a wonderful,
No,
wonderful thing. I seen what somebody put up at U of M. I am not surprised. Okay, I thought that was me. The kids are out here, and let me tell you something else. Along with the kids are the adults. I've been going to schools and churches, and there are people out here that are just sitting in their cars in Detroit. So I think that's a good idea. I wish I had thought of it sooner. That these people are threatening the polls and coming into polling areas. You might get a visit with someone that lives in the area, or you approaching the kids the wrong way. The city is being protected by the citizens, and I'm so glad to see it. And it's a whole lot of the kids out here, at least 18 years young and older, that are enthused and energized and passing out leaflets and information, making sure the signs are not taken down by the opponent Republican fools. And it's moving up here around about 11 o'clock. I was telling Eugene, it's so many people out here voting in the morning, from people that's pulling up before work to the elderly dressing up in their Sunday best, still voting. So democracy it has a chance when you have an attitude and mentality to know what you're dealing with. And evidently these people got the message. The midterm is just as much more important than as the main election, because what you said, precedents now will go forward when you vote for your president. So I'm gonna go right back out here. I got to go back at 3:30 for $25 in the tank. That didn't move anything, but if I have to push this big old truck, I will, to get things done. Y'all have a blessed day and happy voting. Don't be afraid. That's what they want you to do.
Thank you for all your hard work that you're doing today to ensure that voting happens, Tomina.
No problem. I'll catch y'all on the fly. I might be partying, but I'll catch y'all either today or tomorrow. But y'all have a blessed one.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And unfortunately, Mark didn't have as much time as we thought. He's got to get ready to lecture. So maybe if we're still here, he'll be back. I definitely want to have his voice in our conversation today on such an important day with so many things that are going on. I love all the voices that we get in here, and I understand that you guys have in real life things going on. And I try to get you in here when I can, and I hate it when I'm not able to accommodate it. And I do appreciate you though. Like I said, just coming, hanging out, even when you can't talk, but listening. And so with that, we're going to go to Shauna, and want to open the floor up to anyone who is there in the gallery to continue sharing with us, and not to be shy, to come on up. Thank you. Shauna, you're next.
Thank you. And I wanted to thank Dawn for what she had to say. I saw that news this morning and it was pretty disturbing, and I'm not surprised, but it's still disturbing that it's 2022 and these types of things are happening, and that they're trying to find any way they can to suppress our votes. But I'm hoping that the people there still find a way to vote, and that those areas, I asked Jaworski, like, if those, voters were scared or if they were still able to vote. I hadn't heard back from him yet or not. So, you know, about the areas she was talking about, I'm very, committed to this fight, and I'm happy that, that people were receptive to what's been happening, because I think that there's a lot of opportunity in these areas. But, going forward in 2024, I'm hoping that, from the top down, that there is more attention in these areas. And I've been saying that since 2020, so way before this started, because there is a lot of opportunity in Mississippi and Alabama, Louisiana. So I'm hoping going forward that we can get more voters out in those areas, because they are overlooked quite often, and that's unfortunate, and it shouldn't be that way. And we need more representation in those areas. And I know that Gary Chambers running for Senate, he had a post out a few days ago talking about there was very low Black turnout for early voting, and he listed how many in the parishes. And I mean, I know that could be for several different reasons, so I don't know all the details behind it, but this is something I'll definitely be committed to in the coming, next couple of years. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And I appreciate the words that Q had to say about people that are worried about tonight, that it's okay to feel that way. It's not being a Debbie Downer or anything. I think we're in good shape, but it could, it could go the other way. And so it's okay to be anxious about it. So I know there's different spaces going on tonight. Like I said last night, I have the late shift tonight at 10 p.m. Central. So please come join us. We'll have results by then, but we may not. So if you're feeling anxious, it's okay, but we can all be anxious together. So that's all that I had to say, though. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Shauna, and thank you for all the wonderful work that you are doing and have doing. And we know that you are committed to the work and that you will continue. And we just want to continue supporting your efforts in any way that we can, because you have always shown yourself to be so supportive of others' efforts. And that is just, again, another wonderful example of the greatness of this community. And I want to thank you for being one of those shining examples, and certainly appreciate you coming in and sharing with us today. We are going to remain hopeful, and it's rock stars like you that keep us hopeful. So thank you. Keep doing what you do. Up next, we've got Dr. L, who has come up, and I think he may be in that area. And I am sure he has something wonderful to share with us as always. So, Dr. L, you're up next.
Good afternoon again, Eugene. What's up again, man? I told you I'll be rolling through here through various spaces today. And so again, Miss D, I appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to speak. I'm trying to channel my nerves, my own self, if that makes sense. And I probably didn't do some of the things that I needed to do in order to channel them. For instance, I watched episode 2 of the U.S. and the Holocaust last night, right? That puts you in a whole different mind frame, right? Then this morning, I had to drive from the Metro Atlanta area to here in Savannah. And I'm driving along and I'm seeing all the cotton fields along I-16 East, So I'm thinking about that, right? While I'm driving, I'm listening to the 1619 Project again, and just taking that all in, right? I'm processing the news out of Jackson, Mississippi, right? Which really, what's the word I want to use? It's not. It really piques my righteous indignation, because on this bird app this morning, I've been into it with a few of the white nationalist evangelicals and their sycophants, right? So hopefully I won't have to get a new account after the day's over with in dealing with those folks. But as I'm processing all of that, and then I'm thinking about what's going on in Jackson. I'll be in Mississippi for the Thanksgiving holiday. Very familiar with the Jackson, Mississippi area, in and around JSU. My best friend, his dad's church was burned in that series of church burnings that took place in the late 90s. And so all of that is coming back to my memory, all on a day that we have to go vote, right? And I thought about, like, you know what, of course I went and voted this morning before I got on the road, but I'm thinking about all of the idiots out here who are making, using faulty logic, selfishness, who are betraying their civic responsibilities, who are accepting their pieces of silver in order to not vote and to try to get others not to vote. And it just makes me more resolved hearing the things that you are doing, Miss D, that Eugene is doing, that folks like Shauna and Miss Dawn are doing. They've been working their asses off, right? And so it makes me more resolved. So I just wanted to come in here to share where I was this afternoon with regards to everything that's going on and to remind people that it's going to be all right, period. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. L. And we appreciate you. And I am so glad that you came in to say that because, yes, there is a long history of the things that are happening today for us. There is a long history in that community. It's very um like you said, you said it so beautifully because I feel all of what you said. The fact that what they did, where they did it, the day they did it on, none of this is new to us. And it, as you said, only strengthens my resolve. Okay. And we're not
So the
going anywhere.
some good news in this is the arsonist was caught on camera, so they do know who it is. They're looking for him right now.
Yeah. And I again say that when some of these other domestic terrorists, because that's what they are, start to have some serious consequences, some of this will take care of itself because they have been allowed to operate in an arena under the impression that there are no consequences. In fact, that, what they are doing is, being called for by some so called leaders in this country. And until we can, get some of those folks, we're probably going to continue to deal with this. It's not new for our community, but we're not going anywhere. Okay. And we also know, the media, mainstream media wouldn't make you think that, but this is a small, vocal, dangerous, and violent minority. Okay. But they are a minority, which is why they're acting out and doing the things because that terrifies them. Okay. So again, Dr. L, thank you guys. Thank you so much. And all of you guys who have come in to share with us today and participate in our conversation. As always, today is an exceptional conversation, and it is made so by all of your contributions. So I just want to thank you for that. And I do have Hippie who has come in, and then Sean. And Sean sent me some information that I'm grateful for. As I said before, it's not just the people who come up and actively speak, which we love, but I get so much interaction from the people who are just listening in the gallery, sending me articles and information. And you really don't know how comforted I am just by your Abbeys down there in the gallery, knowing that you care enough to come and listen to the conversation. It means the world to me, and I just want to thank you. So we're going to go next to Hippie and then Sean.
I just wanted to speak to just that hope today, um, not discouragement. We don't know. I mean, I know a lot is neck to neck. I'm a white face, so I don't face probably as much. Uh, I used to go to Jackson, Mississippi. We had a home office there. And from what I read, it's really, really, really changed. It used to be a lovely town. So the last speaker, um, I'm sorry for I'm sorry for the way it is. I wish I see. I don't see. I do see the comments. I just what you posted, D, for the pickup that was throwing things out of the pickup. Uh, and I had my sign stolen. So for my one of my candidates here in Arkansas, they just pulled up in the like at 10:40 and just got out and just took the sign, and then the police chief called me the next morning and said I needed to take my tweet down because no, it wasn't their fire department. And I believed him, and then I realized there was a football game that night, and their department was right down my way, and he had said no, none of their fire trucks were out, and he told me on the phone that the only truck that was out was at the football game, and that would have been their route going home. And so, I probably got taken, but but people are devious, and that's part of the world. And I have always had this little miss, everybody's good thing in my mind, and it's difficult and has been difficult over the years for me to face the fact that that's not true. But when I walked into my polling place yesterday, it was a church, and maybe that's why I just had this Holy Spirit feeling. But it was like peace just came over me. Um, it just did. And I don't know if it's because I've never, ever voted when there were so many people. They were out the door and around the building. And that to me was a very good sign. And I did. I just had, I can't explain it. It was just this peace in my heart. Um, and I'm sorry if I know that there are so many people on here that have voted that have not experienced that have to wait and wait, and there have been might have been ugly people, that took your driver's license or your ID or questioned your address or your signature. Um, I had a very good experience, and I thought about every single one of you that come here every day. I thought about you, and I thought, are they all having this experience? And I hope and pray that you, or I don't. I just give you the the love that you went out there and voted, even knowing that you might not have that experience. Um, I appreciate every single one of you that come here every single day, and and that you support democracy and fight for it. And I'm in the fight with you, except for that I don't have to fight as hard as you do, uh, in some ways. So I just wanted to let you know that I love you all.
Thank you so much, Hippie. We appreciate you, and it's good to see you. And, we're happy that you had a good experience. And that is why we come here every day, because everyone should have a good experience when it comes to exercising their right to vote. And why some people don't think that that should happen for everyone is why we're here having the conversations that we are having. So, thank you for coming in and sharing with us and for the work that you do. And it's good to know, because I know you're over there in Natalie James territory. So I'm sure it felt very good to be casting a vote for the next senator of Arkansas. And I hope, Chris, I hope the entire blue ticket, because they really do have a wonderful blue ticket there. I hope they all win. But, Natalie is kind of special to us because she's hung out here with us a lot. We know her, and we know her heart and her desire to help and to lead. So thank you again, Hippie. We're going to go next to Sean and then Mr. J. And I want to again extend an invite to anyone who is down there in the gallery not to be shy. Come on up and join us in conversation. And also to remind you to share and retweet the space, because it is always a wonderful conversation, and you might know people who weren't able to attend but can still enjoy the conversation. So thank you so much, and I'm going next to Sean and then Mr. J.
Good afternoon, Ms. D. Good afternoon, Eugene. I put something up in the Jumbotron. Basically, in Fulton County, Georgia, there were two poll workers that they found were also insurrectionists who had participated in January 6th. So they were removed as poll workers. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention because that is a sign that they're embedding or attempting to embed themselves. And who knows what they were going to do.
Absolutely. General Flynn, I'm going to find that post, but they have a whole organization that was basically created to, first of all, fill the roles of these election workers who left because they were intimidated by them. And again, this is just them furthering their opportunity to have the mechanisms in place to repeat January 6th successfully.
Yeah.
So,
And the other thing I posted was about Mark Meadows in South Carolina. They rejected his request not to testify. So I'm hoping that Mark comes back so that he can break that down for us. But that was it. And thanks for sharing that other thing. I know it happened a couple of days ago, but it still showed another example of attempted voter intimidation. So thank you all for having the space, and I'll keep listening and retweeting, which is my part to play. But have a
absolutely.
great afternoon.
You too, and we thank you because we know we all have our part to play. I always say that we can't, no one can do everything, but we can all do something. So I just thank each and every one of you for the something that you do because it all matters. It makes a difference. So thank you so much, Sean. And it's
I'm
just
gonna be.
always lovely to hear your voice.
Absolutely. I'm going to say I think Republicans are freaked out right now and know that these polls are full of crap. The way that they're all tweeting out right now about, Maricopa County has got problems and this place has got problems in that place. They're going after now when you see them start saying, "Hey, it's the poll, it's the voting system's fault," that they're losing. This is starting to make me hopeful when they these are some like they're all doing. Trump's doing it. They're all doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
And
good sign, actually.
it is a really good sign, and it just means that they're going to up their games and their shenanigans because they do know that people are determined and they're serious, which is why I keep saying we've got to keep encouraging people up until the polls close. Like Dr. Marshall just converted, a voter and got us another vote in New York. There, we're going to have to keep doing this. We're going to have to vote in numbers too big to be rigged or to be ignored. So, Eugene, check your mic. I'm not sure, or somebody's mic is open. But thank you so much. I appreciate it. And up next, we have someone who I know is a frequent visitor of the space.
That was my mustache rubbing on the mic.
I'm like, okay, did somebody just do we have someone with narcolepsy or what what's going on? I'm sorry.
I'm embarrassed. Okay.
I'm like, okay. But anyway, Dr. J, I'm sorry, Mr. J is next. And then I've sent out some invites. And I know, as I said, that there are many people who are actually working. They are at the polls, but they are listening. And people who are working or just busy. But if you do have a few moments, don't be shy. This is always a warm, safe, welcoming space. So I would love to have you come and join in on the conversation. If you want to take it in a different direction, we've covered quite a few things and certainly talked a lot about what's going on at the polling stations. But we continue to have the need to have the conversation around any issue that is affecting the quality of our democracy. And almost all of them intersect with that. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I want to give the floor to Mr. J. And thank you for coming up.
Thank you for holding this space at this particular time. I'm just curious. I have a question that I'm hoping will not upset anyone, but I want an answer. I have dual citizenship in Sicily and the States, and I'm in Cedar Rapids right here today. I voted when I first got here a week ago. I'm here doing some poll work. My question is how do we combat the mindset that it's okay to accept this voter intimidation, this perceived threat of violence with the bomb threats? How do we combat that and not end up in legal trouble here in the States? Because I see it happening all the time, from the Nancy Pelosi attack to bomb threats being called into Jefferson Parish, people sitting around drop boxes in their SUVs and pickup trucks with automatic weapons across their laps. I have taken some measures in the last 2 weeks to combat this voter intimidation thing my way. But I'm of the mindset of Malcolm X, and I'm not of the mindset of MLK. So the peaceful and civil unrest thing, I don't see how that is going to work. So that's my question. How do we combat this? Because it's going to go forward from here on. It's not just this election cycle. It's going to be every election cycle.
I would say this is why this election is so important,
Yeah,
because
because
we
I
do
don't
need
accept
voting
that.
laws right now.
I don't accept that as fact that every other, but it will go on for a while, and there are legal systems and things in place. Of course, some of them have been mowed over and mowed down, but we need to expand the Senate and keep the House so that laws and legislation can be passed to hold some of these folks to account, and some of it may play out where people have to do what they have to do, because we always have to survive and we're not going anywhere. So it just will play out how it plays out. We're going to use the tools and the systems that we have in place currently, and where they work, they work. But again, we continue to do what we need to do to preserve our pursuit, our ability to the pursuit of happiness. So um, I appreciate you coming up, and it, was a great question. I think maybe Dr. Marshall and then Graham would like to speak to that. So, Dr. Marshall, I'm gonna, and then I have a new speaker after that, T-Bug.
Yes, what I wanted to say is that I believed and still believe in Malcolm X. I also believe in Dr. King. What I know is that people who don't like Black and brown people, they're going to continue to not like us. And they're going to continue to do all they can to eradicate us. Right now, and this is not just recent, it's been years that white males have known that they weren't producing children. And when they realized that they were going to become the minority, their greatest fear is that we, Black and brown and in between people, that they have killed, massacred, burnt our churches, hung us, and done all manner of evil. They believe that we are like that too, and that we're going to do it to them. Now, maybe some of us will. I'm not eliminating that, because anything is possible, from the worst fear to the greatest joy. But we can't live our lives, at least I don't think we should live our lives, wondering how we can kill them. because that's just not going to work.
It's not, because it ends up no one survives that. Okay, no
Exactly.
one. As Dr. King said, only light can drive out darkness. And I'm not saying that you don't have to, protect yourself in a very physical way. You do what you need to protect yourself. You use the tools that you have until those tools are exhausted. So, I
Yep.
and
We
and I love that you said that, because we lived in a time where both of those things exist, and it's just sometimes, again, you have to use the tools that you have,
and sometimes we have to make decisions where we know that we're going to lose. But if making the decision to quote stand my ground means I maintain my dignity, my peace, but I lose my job, my my way of living. It may sound weird to some people, but so be it. I've been in that position where that happened to me. And I was just determined, you're not going to kill me, but I'll be damned if you're going to walk on me either without me letting you know, no, you can't do that. And you're not going to do it. And yes, I suffered afterwards, but I was also determined to do whatever I could to keep the momentum moving forward, because it's not just about me. I'm not going to be here forever, but the people coming behind me. And that's why I try to be as balanced as possible. But we can't kill them all, and they can't kill all of us. And right now, we outnumber them collectively. And that is their fear. That may not make you feel that much better, but historically, we meaning Black people and Indigenous people, we have done everything. We continue to do everything we know, and we continue to add to that knowledge to protect ourselves more, make ourselves stronger. We just have to keep fighting and being aware. We kind of have to be like that little doll that people have on their dashboards. Our heads have to just keep turning while staying straight so that we see all around us, know what's attacking us, and do what we can and bring along people with us.
Exactly. And you're right. And sometimes that's why it's so exhausting just to exist, because we do have to keep our head on a swivel, and we're making decisions throughout our lives, and sometimes on a daily basis, on, the stance that we will take to protect ourselves, and to continue to improve ourselves, and to fight back. And there are many ways to do that. So, thank you so much, Dr. Marshall. We do have someone new who has joined us, and I have brought them up, T-Bug, and then Graham and Carmen.
Hi, I'm T-Bug. My real name is Teresa, and I go by T. I'm in Oregon, so I spoke a little bit for the first time last night on the group. Um, I'm a Democratic precinct leader in my county, which is about 20 minutes north of Portland. It's very white, and I used to be a BERG, or a Black Employee Resource Group chair, since 2012. So I've done a lot of partnering with nonprofits in Portland and Urban League, and getting volunteers for events like that. And someone who was the first, Nafisa Fai, she's the first Muslim Black county commissioner in Washington County. She started the first Pan-African Festival of Oregon. So I got to know a lot of BERG leaders from all of the big companies out here, Intel, Nike, and such. And a lot of the feedback that I got was that, a lot of people think of Oregon as like this liberal heaven, but it's not for Black people. And working on a lot of events that had to be, I work for a large bank, Wells Fargo, and we had to cancel, marching and parades because of threats from the Klan. And so I'm passionate about trying to be an ally to the Black community. I know it's something you just have to keep trying to do. But I've been very concerned about our election out here, and people go, oh no, they're going to pull it out. Like, they're not going to get that Republican governor, Christine Drazan. But it's been really close. And I live in the town where the spoiler candidate is from, Betsy Johnson, and she switched from Democrat to unaffiliated. She's known for not condemning people bringing Confederate flags to her rallies recently, until she just dragged her feet on it, and she's being funded by Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. He's been trying for decades to get Democrats out of office, and he's been pouring millions of dollars into her campaign and Christine Drazan's now. But like everyone said, the polls have not been accurate. A lot of them are actually, when you really look closely, a lot of them are either Republican or they're just very bad pollsters that are not factoring in early voting. But my hope, from what I was seeing from more progressive polls, is that the white Democrats that have been going for Betsy will pull their head out and vote for Tina Kotek. And so we just got a poll today, and it's looking like Betsy's losing some voters, and they're going to Tina. So hopefully that works out. And then we have Jamie McLeod and Andrea Salinas in the House that we're hoping that they win. And then Betsy's old seat, I've been working the campaign for a local candidate, a first time, a nurse. So I've been phone banking day and night and knocking on doors. And so we're hoping that even though our district seems to have gone red, that with all of our groundwork, we'll be okay. And Sunday we had Travis Nelson, who's the first LGBT Black House representative, come knock doors with us. So I got to take a picture with him, and I met Senator Jeff Merkley, who I didn't really like it for a while because he endorsed Bernie. But he was wearing like an old flannel quilted jacket and just looked like my grandpa, and we talked, and I got to thank him for giving a nonprofit that I joined that helps disabled adults in my community. He just got us a $500,000 grant to rebuild our facility that's 50 years old. So there's a lot of good things happening, and I'm just hoping for everyone that they get, the best outcome. I'm sorry that you have to wait in line. In Oregon, we do everything by mail, and it's a great system.
I
And
know every state should have voting as easy as Oregon.
Yeah. Ron Wyden's been pushing that for years to try and get a national voting system where it's all vote by mail. So hopefully we can get enough seats that changes things. But
we are so fortunate. I'm in
yeah.
Washington. We're the same thing. We are so
Yeah.
fortunate.
Yeah, my one of my close friends lives in Washington. She's Alaska Native. And so, yeah, we talk all the time about, she's in Cowlitz County, and I'm trying to get her to join her Democratic precinct and get going. Because I actually realize, even when you're in a small area, you actually have more opportunity to do more and make more statewide decisions. And I just joined as a county delegate, and I got to meet Ron Wyden's chief of staff, and his wife is she's an interim senator for Betsy right now. And so I'm meeting so many people and getting so many opportunities that it's amazing. So it's not easy. There's personality conflicts. There's people that don't always agree with you. But I highly recommend it. And I said this last night, but the reason I was kind of drawn here was
that's how democracy works,
Right. And the more you get involved at a local level, the more of a reality check you get on what it takes to make it all work. And a lot of people that I disagree with, they just have no clue they need a civics lesson. But yeah, that's kind of why I started following Shantae and Kenny. Was they were saying things that wasn't hearing from anyone else. And I'm like, they're right. They have their facts straight. And just want to let you know, I also just got diagnosed autistic at 46 last year, and ADHD. So if I'm kind of jumbling my words sometimes, speaking is not my best thing. I'm better at writing. But I definitely am a fact checker person, and that's what I love, is the honesty and checking, checking yourselves and others, keeping everyone honest. And this is a very loving, wonderful group to be in. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And I hope you come back. And I'm so glad you came and shared here in the space today. And yes, it is wonderful to find voices of people like Shantae and others that we have in this community who can keep you grounded in reality and the facts. And there are going to be some great spaces that continue throughout the night. I have it in the thread for today. So definitely this conversation you can duck in and out of or stay all day, and I would say definitely here is a better place to be than watching the news mainstream media news coverage, which is crap. So I do want to kind of change the cue a bit here now because Bernadette came up and I think she may be working the polls and her time may be limited. And then I'll go Carmen and Tiff. So, Bernadette, how are you?
Oh, I'm kind of tired. I'm exhausted. Not kind of. I wore the wrong shoes too. So, but we're pretty busy. We're really busy. So, yeah, it's some little quirks going on, but I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want anybody over here because I guess I'll tell that in the next space tomorrow probably. But otherwise, it's a lot. It's a large turnout, especially the district we have. It's pretty large. I'm just taking a lunch because when I said I was going to take a lunch, I couldn't because it's just people come from out of nowhere. I don't know, whatever. Then next, I have to get the machines going because they do a little whatever buzz out.
It's
And
a hard job. I mean, but it's fun.
yeah, but it is my first time, and I get a lot of people there that have gratitude towards you for what you're doing. You know, so otherwise, I really can't complain. But I'll tell you when it gets toward the end of the day because I have to take all this stuff back, and I hope that's not a madhouse going to the courthouse doing that. But otherwise, hey, I'm grateful to be here, and I appreciate the people in the space that got me to get out there from from the text banking to the canvassing. Look where I'm at, huh? And I hope to do more. So that's all I'm going to say, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
I
Thank
love
you.
that you just said that people are showing respect and gratitude for what you're doing. That really makes me feel good. And anybody that's going to the polls, don't forget that.
It is definitely something that I tried to do, and I did, and I think that was doing it was a little surprised because he said it was his first time. I said, "Well, good." I said, "I've done it before." I said, "Thank you for doing it. Keep doing it." So, thank you, Bernadette. I love that. Like I said, we have people in this community who are, like I said, actively working on this day at the polls, who come in to share with us and who inspire us and who inform us. I love this space. I love you guys. I love this community. So thanks, Bernadette. And I want you to continue doing what you need to do. Rest while you have a chance because it is really a very, very long, exhausting day, but it can be one of great reward and gratitude. So I appreciate everything that you have done, and there are many other examples, but I know you are one who we have just seen before our eyes blossom and come out of their shell and just become a civically engaged
Been
uh,
astounding to watch.
yes, and this is what this space and the conversation for me is all about. It is just continuing to get people civically engaged and have that ripple effect, because the more people like this we have in the country, the easier and the quicker it is going to be for us to, get our democracy, where it needs to be. So I just want to say kudos to you. Thank you. I am inspired by you and what you're doing, and the growth that I've seen, just like I said, in just this short period of time in Twitter Spaces. So I love you, my dear. I hope you keep checking in with us and take care of yourself. And thank you for the work you're doing today.
And thank you for teasing us, and because now I'm going to be following you nonstop. That you got some scoop some dirt to like dish out. So thanks.
Oh, for sure. He is
keep
always,
keep us on the edge.
yeah, he's always here for the messy. You can count on that. So up next, we've got Carmen, and then I'm going to go to Tiff, and I'll come back to Graham and Hippie because you guys have spoken before. So Carmen, because I know she's joining us usually during work as well. How are you, my dear? Carmen? She may not be available right now. Let's go to Tiff. I'll check back with Carmen. Tiff.
Hey,
Hey,
hello, hello.
those videos that you showed and the pictures yesterday, I am telling you, I was grinning like I was your mom or somebody. It's like my chest was out. I was like, look at her.
Oh,
Oh, I just loved it. So anyway, I just wanted to say that if I had been near you, I would have just hugged you and showered you with kisses. So it was awesome.
it was fun. It was a good time. I got there. Hey, I got there early. I got a good spot on the line. And we got in there, and the lady was like, "Do you want to stand in the front?" To me and to Virgo actually, and she said, "Yeah, let's go." So we ended up going. We were literally right where the barricade is. We were standing right there. And then Mark went to go sit down because he was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go sit in the bleachers." So he went in the bleachers. We stayed at the front, and we were just waiting. And then about like we got in there probably like 4:30, and then about 5 something they started the program. The president of Bowie State, really strong woman. I don't know. I don't.
Are you telling me Marco pulled the old man move?
Oh yeah, he had okay. First of all, Mark comes with dress clothes on,
Late,
and I'm
late.
like, what?
The equivalent of you wearing heels, right?
Yes, he has shoes. He has shoes. First of all, I haven't seen Mark wearing shoes this whole time that we've been going places and doing stuff. So I'm looking at him. He has a button-down shirt on, jeans. Where is he in here? Let me talk shit. He had jeans on, a button-down shirt, and some shoes. And I was just like, okay, you looking kind of cute. Okay, I see you. But I was like, why is he wearing that? So then he was like, so then when we were leaving, we walked out, and I was like, so, like, why you have these shoes on again? And he was like, yeah, well, he said it all casual, like, I just went on a date. And I was like, oh, word? I was like, oh, now I see why you came up in here looking all cute. Mind you, we had to walk like really far to get to the car. So we're walking and we're talking. Mind you, okay, let me tell you something about Mark. Mark will talk to anybody. I feel sorry for the people that were sitting next to him. Some other guy that was next to him. I'm like, I told Virgo, I said, that poor man's ears are gonna be hurt because he loves to talk. Just like he likes talking here, he likes to do that in person. He will talk to anybody. So I feel bad for that man because I just know he was just telling him
I
all
love
kinds of
him,
stuff.
and I am so glad that you said that, because that is always the impression that I have. He's like the
Yes,
person that, you're
yes,
standing in line at the grocery store, and then y'all just start talking, and
yes. He's off the chain. And then we even before like we didn't leave when me and Virgo left. I walked out because I was hungry and because I got there at 3 and I thankfully I ate something before I left the house. They had these, it was on a college campus, just FYI. It's at Bowie State University, beautiful university, HBCU. There were some food trucks out there. So me and Virgo, we went to grab some food. Then she left and then Mark came and found me. And so he stood out there. We ended up talking to these young kids, these 3 young black guys. They were cool. They were excited about, what had happened. all the kids. There was a lot of college students, obviously on college campus, but I didn't expect that many to turn out. There was like probably like 200 college students there. They were excited. They were energized. They were ready. And so I was super stoked about that, because usually I don't see that in young people. You know, we always diss young people, let's be real. But they were super excited. Even the kids because at one point all the college kids were on the same line as me. And you know, I was talking to them too. I do talk to young people, more so than older people, because I like to pick their brains. But we were having conversations. A girl who was actually on the line, she had left to go on another line. She ended up standing next to me, a Latina girl, and so her and I spoke the whole time, because she was there by herself. So we became cool. There was another Latina lady next to me, a white lady that was next to Virgo. When I tell you this is the most diverse crowd that I probably have been in a long time. I mean, there was every kind of person. There was an Indian couple that was next to the white lady. There was another Indian lady that had come from Delaware to see Joe Biden. Like, there was people from every walk, young white kids, young black kids, like I said, Latinos, Asians, you name it, was there. It was beautiful. It was like, it really reflected the diversity of my state, which is Maryland, obviously. And you know, as the chair of the party said, we're the fourth most diverse state in America, and we finally have a ticket that reflects that. So we are going to be kind of the beacon for the rest of the country to do what needs to be done. So if West can be successful, as I said yesterday, he would be only the third elected governor in the United States history. So if he can do a good job and people can see he's doing a good job, maybe other people will, you know, feel, okay, well, a black man can do this, and you know, we had Deval Patrick, but that was years ago. And West is a different kind of candidate than him. And so I am hopeful that we pull this off tonight. I know we're gonna win. I just want it to be a big win, because that will send a signal to the rest of the country that somebody like West can win overwhelmingly. And I want it to be like 30 points. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm back.
Oh, Tiff,
I'm
thank
back.
you so much.
My daughter called. Lastly, I just want. Tonight. We're having a space. So from 6:30 to 8:30, I'm gonna put out, once I can finally cook and settle down, maybe within the next hour or two. I have a cheat sheet for everyone to look at, so they can know like the times of the races that are going to be called, and like what races to pay attention to, because there's so many races. It's really hard to keep up with. So I'll have it by different states. So 7, just so you know, the polls technically closed. The first state to close is Indiana, but there's not really much happening there. The seat to pay attention to is Indiana 01, but that actually closes at 7 p.m. Eastern. And so I'll have you'll see that on the list, but that is going to be the first race likely to be called tonight. That is my dude Mervin, and he needs to win. It's a black district, like, and no Republican has won in this district in like 90 something years or 89 years. So it's something close to that. So I need him to win. He's a white dude, but he won there in a very close race in 2020. There's a black MAGA Republican that is running against him. So I need him to win. So that will kind of like tell you where we are going for the rest of the night. And then also at 7 p.m. is Virginia. Luria, Spamberger. Those are the two races to watch. And we will see how it goes. But I will give you more of a preview at 6:30 on what to expect. And I'll put out that cheat sheet once I can finally have 5 minutes. It's already done. I just need to fix one thing for Geechee, and then it'll be out there. So look for that around like 5:30, 6 o'clock, to be able to see, you know, what races to pay attention to. I'm going to be color coding. It's color coded. And so you can check it off, look at it, see where we are, and go from there. But that's what I have for now. But feel free to come in at 6:30. Listen to us. I promise it will not be professional tonight. We're gonna be on one, just so you know. There's gonna be probably a lot of cursing, a lot of fussing, but it'll be all in fun. So come through, come say hi, listen to us, and Geechee will be co-hosting with me. I'm sure Dawn will be there as well, and a couple of other folks will be joining. So I'm trying to see if I can get my friend, who's the Wisconsin, one of the chairs of the party, to come through so you can give us an update on Wisconsin, because it looks like there's high turnout for the youngins. So we're gonna hopefully the youngins can finally shut us up and do something for once, since we doubt them so much. So I'm hopeful that they will turn out. But it looks like they really have turned out in Madison, which is where the college is. So we will see. But I'll see you guys 6:30.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What's the sensing on Virginia, Luria and Spanberger? Because did you see Dave? What did you say? Did you see
I don't pay
Dave
him any
Weissman's
mind.
tweets?
First of all, Dave Wasserman, I pay him no mind. One, because he's looking at, everybody knows that the whole thing was that Republicans keep saying that they're going to, these media people say Republicans are going to turn out on election day. Cool, we know that. He's not factoring, and we don't know what had happened in early voting. Virginia has 4 weeks of early voting. So you have to consider that in the 4 weeks that a lot of Democrats turned out to vote. It is a high, where she's at, where that district that Lurie is in Virginia Beach, where there's a lot of Black people. You figure most of those people went on a souls to the polls, got out in the first 4 weeks. So he's not really factoring that in. Yes, there was always going to be high turnout, more so for Republicans on election day. The question is how many people really voted early, and we'll likely get those returns pretty early on in the night, because they've already probably calculated them. So I take what he says with a grain of salt, because he likes to cause drama. As far as Spanberger goes, I think she's fine. I'm not really worried about her district as much as Luria's. They purposely set Luria's to be, kind of gerrymandered in a way that she made it more red. Abigail's is a little bit more, it's not as blue, but it's still quite blue. So I know she's going against that Latina lady who's a hot mess, Trump girl. So we'll see. I don't know. Virginia's going to be, those are the bellwethers, right? Indiana, Virginia, probably the first races to be called or have, results. So we'll see how it goes. I'm hopeful. I'm going to cross my fingers, and y'all say a prayer, talk to the universe. I don't care who you have to talk to, but that is going to dictate how our night's going to go. Virginia.
Thanks so much, Tiff. And that was Nate who asked the question. I'm so glad that you were here, because I know that he's very interested in the polls and things. So up next, I'm going to go to Nate, since he has not spoken, and then Graham, Hippie, and I am trying to bring a new speaker up, so I'm going to probably drop someone down. And of course, feel free to come back up if you'd like to join in the conversation again. So thank you.
Hi everyone. Yeah, sorry, I'm at work now. I'm in school. I'm just very anxious. But I am buoyed by high turnout in Wisconsin and Michigan from what I'm seeing, and in New Hampshire as well. Because in New Hampshire, it seems like they're going to shatter 2018 in terms of midterm turnout. And I think in Ohio, because some people have been doing stats for Ohio, turnout is down in some places, but the reason why turnout is down is because Republican turnout is down and Democratic turnout is high. So we'll see how off people are from the fundamentals this year. But I'm still very nervous, but it's looking not as dire as a lot of people are saying. Yes, we are.
Okay. I was just confused a little bit.
I'm sorry. Taz, I know this is your first time being in the space, and I brought you up. I usually open with the rules of etiquette that we follow, and that is we raise our hands to speak and we mute our mic when we're not. That's just to be respectful. So if you will please adhere to that, I'd appreciate it. And Nate, if you will continue and finish up, I'm going to go to Graham, Hippie, and then Taz.
I think I'm more or less done. Oh, one more thing. Watch out for Lauren Roberts' district today as well. She's cratering.
Yeah,
So
Allie says she has been telling us that she is very vulnerable. So I appreciate that. And yes, any of them that we can take out, um, I'm all for it, especially the extremes, because the more they have there, the stronger foothold they get. So thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us today, Nate. Really appreciate it. And I'm
Yeah,
glad
Nate,
that you.
I think you're right. Like, I think that they're just, when we get the results, we'll know. This is how wild this vote is. I mean, like, nobody can call it. Like, both sides are saying tsunami for a reason, because both sides know the polls are like, there's something wrong there. Like, it's not adding up. So yeah, we'll see.
well, I will full disclaimer. I think that the Democrats will, like, if you guys haven't heard from yesterday, I think the Democrats will probably get 50-50 or 51-49 in the Senate. And the House, I'm not sure. I think the House is a toss-up. That's my prediction, but it's going to be less than 225 either way. But that's my prediction. I don't know how you guys feel, but that's my sensing. I'm praying, at the very least. So
Yeah, I
All
don't
right.
know. I see signs like, we may see races one that were totally unexpected. I don't know. Like, this is how weird this one is, and why I always say, like, these polls, like, I don't look at any of them. First of all, they're a look back, right?
I agree with
But
that.
right now, I think that what I'm looking at is, like, how many are showing up at polls. Like, when that many people showed up early to voting, who traditionally votes early, right? And that's what I'm looking at. And then how many are showing up today? But we'll see. I think we may have some surprises in store for us. Having said that, man, I don't have a crystal ball. You know, I sure, like, I did not believe Trump would win, and he won. So, there we go. Yeah, I just didn't think that America was that stupid. Like, I was like, there's not enough idiots that are going to believe this liar. Yeah,
when I
well,
tell you that I was in
here we
Singapore
are.
and it was 2 p.m. when the race was called in 2016, I was devastated. And everybody in Singapore was like, WTF.
Yeah, you want to talk about devastated. That was my first experience as a poll worker, and it is a very long, hard day. And to have that be the ending to it, yes, I was pretty devastated. But it just made me more determined to sound the alarm and work that much harder to make sure that he was a one-term president, and continue doing this work so that that never happens ever again in this country. He just he shouldn't have even been able to run, because if he had been held to certain standards that some of the others just willingly held themselves to, he would have never, been on the ticket to begin with. But we've got, let's see, um, Graham, Hippie, and then Taz, who is new. And I am going to start to wrap us up, because we do have some other conversations and spaces going on tonight. I want to take a break, so that I can have an opportunity to participate in them. So, Graham, Hippie, and then Taz. And I'm going to give kind of a last call here to anyone else interested in joining in.
Well, thank you, Dee. I'm making some bread, fresh bread, right now, so got my hands are a little bit dirty, but that's what makes these spaces fun, right? Um, I had some kind of unrelated, unfun news, and that was the whispers that Twitter may be placed behind a paywall. Who knows? Who knows what's going on? Regardless, I put a tweet up in the nest. There's a link to Common Ground Social, which I have an account. And there's also a link on how to migrate to Mastodon. It's an interesting process, but it's not that hard. and I actually imported a lot of my follows on Twitter over to Mastodon using an automated tool, so I could import those things. I imported my block list, so all future dummies will be pre-blocked on Mastodon. So there was hints at that. So I just thought I'd throw that link up there. You always say keep your head on a swivel. Well, get that oil that swivel today. Um, I also wanted to just touch upon quickly this. I feel the tension, and there's a lot of fear. After January 6th, we saw what happened. But just keep in mind who's in the Oval Office this time, and also be aware that other nations are watching. There was some news out of Canada today that CSIS, our intelligence agency, gave a heads up to Justin Trudeau about potential white domestic terrorism with the trucker incident. So we're watching up here, and that's also down there. So I think there's a lot of people on high alert for election irregularities. So I just want to throw that out there. Uh, NATO is probably watching as well. And I just wanted to do two quick shout outs. One to Dr. Marshall. I really, I'm so impressed with your hashtag game on Twitter. Uh, I love seeing your tweets, but just seeing you doing the hashtagging, it was like, oh yeah, that's awesome. So I wanted
Who
to,
is that, Graham, that you were
uh,
shouting that out to?
Dr. Marshall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because she's like, now I see like she's got the laser focus on certain hashtags. So it's like every time I see it, it's kind of like, look out. I used to joke that the most dangerous weapon on earth is you know uh, grandmothers with Twitter accounts. You better watch out. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Bernadette. Bernadette, you're inspiring, and I'm really glad that you found this community and are um, doing the work and getting involved. So that's the purpose of the space. So it's just incredible to see you flourish and blossom into a civic agent, chaos agent. So it's really cool. And Nate, I've got a delusionary expectation of voter turnout. It's 65%. I'm not allowed very many delusions in my life, so I'm taking that one. So I predict a high. This is a rule breaker midterm for me. I was first disappointed in 2010, and 2016 was really bad. So that's and also with that delusion, I'm going to call a supermajority in both the House and Senate, and that's the dream bubble I'm in right now. Anyways, I just wanted to throw that tweet up in the nest, and again, looking forward to having some fun tonight.
Hey, I just want to report real quick that I'm over floating Twitter a little bit, you know how we do while we're in the space, and like I'm seeing videos of like Gen Z and millennials, just these like here's one from John Cooper, just this huge long line in Texas, and then there's one from the University of
I want
Michigan,
to see it.
same
Where?
same
Where,
thing.
where do I see that?
I've retweeted them on my timeline. So if you just go on my timeline, you'll see them. I retweeted them. But yeah, no, I'm seeing this all over. I think we're absolutely going to see, um, like this is amazing to see it. And how do most of these young people vote, right? Like, I don't know. We'll see.
Right.
I guess with their friends. I guess it's like a friendship thing. They're going out.
So, as I said again, Taz, we raise our hands to speak. I really do hope you can adhere to the
Oh,
rules.
I'm
If
sorry. I thought
okay,
it was raised. I'm
okay,
sorry.
it is not.
Um,
I have
I'll,
one more
I'll
speaker.
do it right now.
Okay, you will be after this speaker, and that will be Hippie, and then it will be your turn. Hippie.
Okay, just doing some research. The U.S. Department of Justice will be monitoring compliance with federal voting rights laws in 24 states today. Arkansas has one county, and that is the county where the three insurrectionists who have not been called to court, they have been wearing ankle monitors and not allowed to go more than 24 miles within their home. So that's kind of a good thing. But they're also being monitored because in the March, in the 2020 race, they had a lot of issues against them and had to pay fines. In addition to that, there are numbers, and I'm sure possibly and hopefully everyone has these numbers. One is for the civil rights justice government, one is for the ADA department, that would be Americans with Disability. Does everyone, I mean, that should be online. Um, but if you encounter problems in voting, those numbers are to call immediately. Um, so the Department of Justice is on this, and the Department of Justice in Arkansas will be at that county today and tomorrow monitoring how the votes go. And there are other states as well. They name mm, they name some states, but they name Detroit, Minneapolis, and Los Angeles. Those are the only states they name. But there are others, as I said. They said 24 states that the Department of
Right.
Justice will be on
I
site.
Yes,
Had anyone?
I put that information in the thread. So thank you, Hippie, for bringing
I
that
am
up because
always.
I
I don't look up in the nest, so I did not see that. Um, the other thing I wanted to mention just very quickly, and then I'm going to take myself down so you can bring some speakers up, Dee. Um, when 2 days or 3 days ago, before I voted, there was an article in the newspaper that said Friday was the last day we could sign a paper where if there was a runoff that we would be able to vote, which I found very interesting and very wrong. When I went to get my ballot and sign up, I asked the woman about it, and she said there won't be any runoffs, which I thought that was kind of strange, but I don't know. Uh, I don't know why they put it in the paper that we would have to sign something. I've never heard of that as anyone else, that if there's a runoff, you have to sign something uh, like one day before regular voting day, that if there was a runoff, that you had to sign a paper before you could vote in the runoff. But that's Arkansas.
Yeah,
So,
it just sounds like another voter suppression mechanism that is ripe for a lawsuit that very likely will be easily winnable.
well,
Because now, when you
yeah, it will be easily winnable because you're being told then at your voting, at your polling place, that there is no paper and there will be no runoff. I just don't understand Arkansas. But I do want to say that when I walked out, I thanked everyone for their service to our country. And I got the biggest smiles you ever saw, because I don't think very many people thank people. And I think they deserve that thanks. Whether they're
Absolutely.
whether they're Republicans, independents, or Democrat, I think they deserve that thanks. I think I just think that it's just what they deserve because and these people that I thanked stand on their feet all day long monitoring that you put your ticket that comes out of the voting machine into the other machine, and they hand out stickers, and other than that, you just have one person directing people to the voting machines, and I forgot to thank her. But I believe they all deserve thanks. Uh,
Absolutely, hippie.
yeah,
And I do want to get to the other hands. We have quite a few,
I'm
and I
going down.
appreciate.
I'm
All right,
going
thank you.
down. Going down.
Yeah, they absolutely are patriots. For participating so actively in our democratic process. So thank
Yes,
you
thank
again
you.
for coming and joining in the conversation today. Great points that you added, and I appreciate you mentioning that the Justice Department has 24 states that they are actively monitoring. And we can talk more about that in a future space because there were actually a state, maybe two, who really tried to stop them. They didn't want them to come. And I think Arizona was one of them. But let's get to the next set of hands, and that would be Taz, then DB, Patricia, and I can't read. Let me see. So let's go Taz, DB, Patricia, and I will pick up from there.
Hello, can you hear
Hello,
me?
you have the floor. Yes, we can. Yes.
Oh, first I want to apologize because I didn't understand, um, the reason for the room or, you know, the intent. So, I apologize for that. Second, I want to say I don't want to take up any more of your time than you want me to take up. I'm a gay man. I appreciate straight men all over the world, and I am a transgender, activist. So I appreciate you all. Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. I hope you guys voted blue. It really matters. Um, and all you young people out there, I'm 50 now, but all you young people out there, I gotta say, please save us from ourselves.
Well, thank you so much, Taz, and I appreciate apology accepted. And like I said, we are very, very focused on the purpose of this space, and I do welcome new voices. And the reason that we have this space is because we want everyone in this country to be able to have equal rights to a democracy that is thriving for all of us, and all of us to have those rights. So I know that you understand that and appreciate that. And I just want to thank you for coming in and joining. Okay. And we will continue. We've been doing this for almost a year now. We started at the end of December, and we'll continue our fight for democracy in various ways going forward. And we hope that you join us in that fight because it's going to take all of us. So thank you for coming in and sharing with us today. All right. So up next, we've got DB, Patricia, and somebody I couldn't tweet. The Gen X voter. Yes. And then Carol. And then I'm going to, like I said, start to wind us down, but invite any of you up. We do have a little bit of time left still, but we are going to have some other spaces going on. So I want to save my energy and yours as well, so that we can participate in all these wonderful spaces and conversations to be had tonight on Election Day, where we will see the culmination of all the work that we have done. And I just want to thank you all for the work that you have done. So, up next, we've got DB, Patricia, the Gen X, Carol, Bruna, and I just brought Cornelius, Mr. Jones up. Okay.
Uh, Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yes, there was just a couple of things I've been thinking about today. And I know some people are stressed and everyone's anxious of what's going on. But there was just something that my father told me a while back. He said, sometimes you can't worry about what other people are doing. You worry about what you do. And with that being said, I am so proud of a lot of people. We left it out on the field, y'all. We did everything we could do. We made friendships. We, made connections to get people to realize how important this election is. So I am just so proud and happy that I was just a small part of, and I'm going to change my terminology here after hearing Mr. Khalil, this community. I am so proud of this community. Um, I hope it's a great night for us. I don't know what to expect. I haven't been looking at polls. I'm just putting that out. I think one thing that we need to demand, there needs to be a polling standard because there is a lot of bad information coming out. Also, with that, as far as our media is concerned, when the former guy was dogging out the media, I was one of the first people that jumped at their defense. Basically, the way the media has been acting, I'm like, you on your own. I said, I don't know what you are doing. I went to school for journalism. What you all are doing is not journalism. I don't know what it is that they are doing. But and again, if you're in Georgia, one of the hot states, we did it last time and we can do it again. And you're going to have to be late because the most Democratic counties, they don't report until late. So just be ready for that. And if the night goes the way that we hope it goes, because I'm very optimistic about it, there are going to be some crazy people out there. So everyone, please be safe. And I hate having to say that, but we have to say it. Love you all. Get a cup of coffee to watch the returns tonight. I'm going to be in some spaces. I have my sporting night for a couple of hours, so I'm going to be late. But I look forward to talking with many of you all again. Thank you so much. Love you.
Thank you, DB. We really appreciate you. Great advice. And yes, election nights are like my Super Bowl. So I don't like to talk about them in terms, like the media. I expect them to do a better job of actually reporting, but I'm as interested in them as some people are in the Super Bowl or whatever, because I recognize it's high stakes, that we're dealing with. So thank you again. I appreciate it. And like I said, we are going to have many more conversations before this evening is over. And we're looking forward to Tiff's space coming up after this. And she's going to be providing some threads and information to help us know what to look for and how to interpret the things that are happening. And we're so grateful to her. And up next, we're going to go to Patricia. Is she still here? Yes. Patricia, then the Gen X voter, Carol, Bruna, and Mr. Jones.
And Sweet Pea.
Hi, Dee. Hi, Eugene. Hello, everybody, all the superstars that have made this day possible. I Can't say enough. I think DB took a lot of words out of my mouth. I remain overly optimistic about today. Democrats have put in the work. A few days ago, I was feeling uh, not so much optimistic because I was listening to polls. But you know what? Um, I stopped listening and I got back on track. And I believe that the Democrats are going to pull it off. I truly believe it. Um, they've done the work. You've done the work. We've done the work. And it's going to be a long night, a long couple of days. Who knows? It may come down to Georgia as far as the Senate is concerned. And we might have to wait for a runoff in December. But I think we're going to do it. And I remain optimistic. So I'm excited. Excuse me, I'm coming down with a sinus infection. I'm excited for the returns to start coming in, and we'll go from there. But tomorrow, nevertheless, whatever happens, you know, as we say, we rest, and the next day we move forward and keep marching on.
Absolutely. Rest and reset and prepare for the next phase. The struggle and the battle is not over.
That's
And
right.
thank you so much for joining us in conversation today. I know that oftentimes you're listening, and I do appreciate when you take a moment to come out and share with us. And I am glad that you were able to have some of your anxiousness taken away by your connection and information and inspiration from this community. You guys do that for
Definitely.
me every day. So thank you.
Thank you, Dee.
All right. So up next, we've got the Gen X voter. And then Mr. Jones, I'm going to slip him in there and then I'll go to Carol. Okay. So,
Hey Dee, hello again, Eugene. Um,
hi.
I had talked to Eugene this morning and mentioned to him that in the last 2 weeks that I had managed to convince former coworkers of mine and friends who are staunch Republicans to vote Democrat down ballot. I did get 60 of them to do that. I just got in the last 2 hours, I got 10 more videos um, telling me from Republican friends of mine, Texas, Ohio, two of them in Wisconsin, and the rest in Georgia, that they all voted Democratic. So that makes my number to 70 people that I've convinced to vote Republican. I don't know how I did it, but I made the case, and hopefully this helps out. It's not a lot, but every little vote helps. So I'm really proud of that. I had to delete some of the videos because there's so many of them, and my phone can't handle it. I don't have a whole lot of data to hold all those videos, but I was happy to get them. So whatever little bit I can do, hey, I'm making it happen. Um,
Absolutely.
I'm getting some good news. I'm going to get off in a few minutes, but I'm getting some really, really good news from all of the battleground states. Voter turnout is pretty massive, in particular with the young voters. African American turnout is pretty high as well. I heard that it was pretty high in Arizona, in Ohio, and of course in Georgia. So we'll see what happens, but I think that the media got, with the polling, they got this wrong. Matthew Dowd had put out a tweet stating that he thinks that the media overestimated the Republicans' power and heavily underestimated the Democrats. The same thing that we were accused of in 2016 with Trump. The Republicans and the media is doing that with Democrats. I think we're going to have a huge night tonight, and I think we're going to defy all of the conventional wisdom. I think Democrats are going to have a real good night tonight. I think we're going to get it. I think we're going to keep the House and the Senate. Nancy Pelosi ain't going anywhere. So that's my take on that. But I hope what little bit I did, I hope it helped. All right.
Thank you so much. And yes, it did help. And I loved reading your story about that and many others like that. And it just, again, restores my faith in our democracy and, the fact that there are so many more of us than there are them, and that we're putting in the work and we're going to see the fruits of that labor. And I feel that we are going to have a very winning night. So thank you so much. And up next, I want to hear from Mr. Cornelius Jones, who is one of the democracy warriors who has thrown his hat in the ring and has taken time out to come in and share with us in this community. And we want to give him a moment, and you have the floor.
Thank you so much. I just want you all to know that I'm truly fired up. I have been to 19 of my 26 precincts today. They have been extremely active. Voters have been out. Voters have been engaged. That's what I want to see. That's what I think we all need to see and know and understand. So it's truly exciting for myself as a candidate because at this point, we've done all the work. We have beat doors. We've done ads. We have registered people to vote. We've done everything in our power. And here's an opportunity for voters to pay us back on election day, which is today, by simply making it a priority to get to the polls and to vote on our behalf. So there's no need of complaining on November the 9th, which is tomorrow, if there wasn't a plan in place to get to the polls and do what we had to do. So I want to jump in while I had a few moments to simply, say thank you guys in this particular space for all that you do to encourage the fight for democracy, as well as speak truth to power to the issues that we are facing as a nation. And here in Florida, I think they're going to be upset in a lot of different counties. We have a congressional seat here, congressional seat 5. That's a new seat that I think a Democrat is going to start off in, even though they designed it with the intentions of it being a Republican stronghold. So with that being said, I will get off the microphone, listen in for a few more minutes, and then jump back out here to the precinct to do some sign waving and engage with voters. So thank you so much.
Well, again, we
Thank
thank.
you for coming in.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for running. We need more good candidates to continue to um, represent us, and we need to do what we can, and we're looking for you to have a victorious night, and we can't wait to share and celebrate that victory with you and our many other democratic representatives that we hope to be seeing cross the finish line tonight. So again, thank you for being so courageous and deciding to run, and thank you for coming and sharing here in this community and listening to us and helping, and
You
allowing us to help lead you.
you all are very welcome. And my prayer is, regardless of what happens here tonight for me, I've already made up my mind that in 2024, I'm going to be running for office. This time I'll be going for Florida State Senate. So I just want to see more individuals, young people between the ages of 30, 40, and 50 to get out there and really allow their voice to be heard by their actions and run for office in order to make the changes necessary to keep our democracy safe.
All right. Well, thank you so much. So, up next, we've got Carol Bruna Sweet Pea, AKA, and I think that's it. And we'll start to close out.
Hi, everybody. It's so great to hear you and to hear these amazing stories that people have firsthand knowledge of. The last one was so encouraging. The lady who shared about her friends who have always voted Republican, and she's managed to persuade so many of them to vote Democrat. It's astounding. It's amazing. And, I just thank you so much for all your hard work and your effort, as I think everybody appreciates so much everything that each of us is doing, each of you are doing. I'm working at the same time today, and I'm coming in and out of the room. So I want to ask: has anybody talked about what's going on between Ron DeSantis and the Justice Department today?
No, Carol.
Okay, so the Voting Rights Act of 1965, as amended, gives our U.S. Attorney General the responsibility for enforcing the rights guaranteed to citizens under the 14th and 15th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution, and the right to be monitoring elections, as some people have mentioned that this monitoring is going on around the country. But the DeSantis administration is attempting to block DOJ election monitors from gaining access to polling places in, surprise, South Florida, home of the hanging Chad. Yeah,
Oh my God.
DeSantis.
Why did you have to bring that up? I tell
Uh,
you, 2016, 2000, first of all, and then 2016. But yes, I think he was one of the states that was mentioned. I think Arizona was another
You
one.
just set off D's PTSD on this one. I know
I'm
some
telling
history
you,
on
I'm
do you
this.
telling
want to
you.
do you want to let everybody know what the hanging Chad is, Dee, before?
No.
Uh,
Oh no, let's not do
I worked
this.
on Al Gore's campaign.
Oh my God.
I was
Yep.
at the Opryland Hotel for the celebration of our win. Yes, I know Chad. Okay.
The hanging Chad is the little paper tag that sticks out when people used to do voting ballots on paper and punch the hole through. And the Chad is supposed to fall out when you punch. But in was it Broward County, Dee? Am I right about that? That the Chads became an issue because they didn't all come out.
So I'm going to say this: where I mean, my local indigenous community, like white boys were called Chad after that. No joke. Like they're like, hey, you'd see why there's a Chad over there.
Oh boy.
That's it. That's how it affected our community.
So, well, what's the shenanigans that are going on right now is that there are the three counties, and DeSantis is saying that because there's never been an issue with disabled people voting or elderly people voting, there's no reason for any monitoring to go on. So they have basically barred the Justice Department from being able to monitor. And
Isn't
they're
this where
really,
the no wait? Isn't this where the villages are?
no, the villages are in Central Florida near Ocala.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, that's another can of worms. But no, so yeah, so it's just something to keep an eye on today. I don't know if the DOJ is going to do anything about it, but for now, DeSantis is saying no go. And we also know that coinciding with this, you know, we have the tropical storm Nicole coming through, and is also supposed to go through eastern South Florida, Palm Beach County, head up to Jacksonville. And we're also watching that. And DeSantis has also declared a state of emergency in 24 counties because of Nicole. So a lot to watch today in Florida.
Well, thanks, Carol. I appreciate it. And yeah, that state of emergency. Yeah, too bad he wasn't so quick with Ian, but anyway, lots of things to be watching tonight, and we have lots of other spaces in which we're going to be able to see how some of these things continue to develop. So I want to move next to Bruna, Sweet Pea, then AKA, and I'm going to wrap us up. Johnny has been trying to get up. I'm going to bring him up. AKA, if you don't mind, he was requesting before you. I don't know what happened, but I'm going to go Johnny and then AKA and wrap us up. So I want to thank you guys for being here. And Bruna, you're up next. How are you today?
Hello. Hi. I just want to just make sure. Can you hear me properly, ma'am?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Um, and please just interrupt me if anything, if there's anything you can't hear properly or something, because sometimes I have issues with my phone. So yes, ma'am. So I first want to say thank you to you for hosting the space, and thank you for always being an ally to me and everything like that, and also thank you to everybody for coming here. But it's like, I don't know, like today I've just been feeling some kind of way, especially like actually it's not just today, it's these past few days, like just with everything going on, and just like especially here in Georgia. I'm not sure where you live, but here in Georgia it's just been so much like I'm just hoping that like our Senator Raphael Warnock retains the seat, and I hope Miss Stacey Abrams actually wins the governorship. And it's like, you know, it's like some people, I see some people saying they voted Kemp and Herschel Walker. So it's like it's kind of scary to me. So I just don't know what to think at this point. So I'm just like, I've just been feeling some kind of way today. So yes, ma'am. So I'm just like, I don't know. And
It's okay. I think a lot of people may have a little anxiety, and it's understandable. And just, stay close to this community and people in it who are continuing to do the work. And well, we're feeling very positive. We recognize that, we're not going to win everything that we want, but I think we're going to win what we need to, and perhaps some more, and it's okay. So just be comforted by the work that has been done by the members in this community and elsewhere that we may never have intersected it with, but know that there are others like us out there doing the work, and that is where I have confidence. And what also gives me confidence is also cause for concern in that there are so many things being done, like the example you just um, we just heard, and Carol talk about, Ron DeSantis not wanting oversight, and the fact that our former president, actually the first one I was able to vote for, and my first commander in chief as a military person, President Carter's organization, which was basically designed to monitor elections overseas, is actually monitoring elections in his own home state. So just know there are people out there working and doing things, and that's what I have confidence in. And sometimes we may not win every single battle, but this is a long game. We have our eyes on the prize, and we just need to win enough today to keep us from going over the cliff. And I'm confident we will do that because we've done the work. So feel encouraged, okay? But it's okay. And who was it? I think someone, Q, said reach out to him in the DMs, because he is of that counseling profession and is open to helping people walk through their anxiety. Okay, so
um,
yeah.
wait, I'm sorry, ma'am. Who's that again? Like, who's the name again?
Q. I will DM it to you, Bruna. Okay, but yeah, he spoke to that today, and yeah, and he will help kind of walk you through and talk you through some of that, because some of us are just a little more prone to it than others. And he spoke to it in the sense that some people are so positive they don't want to hear anyone talk negative, and I get that too. You need to do what you need to do to protect your peace, but express how you feel, and it's okay. So I just want to let you know it's okay, but I hope that you can feel some sense of assurance from the confidence that we have in the work that we've done, and just I believe in us. So, and I believe in the work that we have done and are doing. So,
Yes, ma'am. My anxiety is really high right now. Just like, sorry. Yeah.
all right.
Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
thank you so much. And guys, do take a look at some of the things that were posted in the Jumbotron. And one of them is a list of spaces that are being hosted by members of the collective. And one of them is Tip, who starts at, is it 6:30, Tip? She may be away from her phone right now, but she will be
So
having one.
there's a reason that from about 6:30 this morning I opened a space and like rolled right into this space and like I'm going to listen to everybody else's spaces and why I'm not listening to the news right now. Like I turned it on for about 10 minutes. I went, you know what? Screw this, man, because this is like I want to hear, and I think that for my mental health, that's why I'm doing it, right? Because this is really stressful, man. We're talking about democracy on the line here, right? I mean, this isn't just a little, we got one president with one idea and a president with another idea. Like our country's at a point right now where, there's a rock and there's a roll happening at the same time, and we got to like figure this out. And I think that we as a nation can figure this out. But man, I got to tell you, my stress level, I'm not kidding. My gut's all clenched up. I, but I got to tell you, I really like, I watched the work that this community put in, and there were a lot of people that were involved, and we weren't the only ones that were doing this at the grass level, the grass rev. Oh my gosh, my tongue just got tied at the grassroots level. I just got to, and I said this yesterday, so the other side, when I saw them doing, they're in spaces trying to create conspiracies and conversations that are just rabbit holes, right? That's their solution of how they're going to motivate voters, right? um, you know, this community and many others, they're on the phone, they're text banking, they're putting out postcards, they're going door to door, you know. I just got to think that like the work's got to outperform the fear at some point, right?
Absolutely, and and this just speaks to the fact that the mainstream media helps to feed that anxiety. I mean, even actually, these social media apps, because they have figured out how to feed and grow their audiences through feeding off of anger and fear. So there's a reason that people feel that way. But like I said, I believe in the work, and I see the work, I know the work, I participate in the work, and I believe I choose to focus and look at that. So anyway, thank you so much. I'm going next to Sweet Pea, Johnny, and AKA.
Well, thank you, Dee, and I'll be quick. I don't want to share bad news, but I just want to caution everybody to please be careful. Carrie Lake right now is threatening the media. The Orange Nazi is calling for people in Detroit to get out into the street right now. So, um, as much as I don't want to think about it, just please, everybody, watch your back. I know I don't have to say it, but I feel like I just wanted to share that because this is what we've got to look forward to. But tomorrow we can change things with our next Congress. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Sweet Pea. I appreciate that. And yes, and we knew this was coming. Like we knew we needed to get through or to this day to be able to save our democracy. But we knew that after this day was when the real trouble will begin. And some of it has started on this day. So we, that head on the swivel attitude, knowing what we have to do, knowing what faces us, we march forward, we continue with our head up, knowing that we have many rivers to cross, as the song says. And today is just one of them. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. And like I said, we're going to keep doing the work, and they're going to keep doing what they do. And Mark Elias, has given us a clarion call. This is, the man who is almost single-handedly in some ways. I know he has a team, but he's leading that team, fighting these legal battles for us to hang on to and maintain the status of democracy that we are currently, in, which is not really good. But he's kept us hanging in there. They're slowly, but very vigorously chopping away at those that remain. But he says that we need to be as vigilant about saving our democracy and persistent as they are about destroying it. And I believe when we match that energy, we will be victorious because, again, in the words of MLK, I mean, democracy is a good thing. Only light can drive out darkness. And all the things that they're doing, they're dark, they're repressive, they're regressive. And I believe in the goodness of the majority of the citizens in this country. So thank you so much, Sweet Pea. I appreciate you. Up next, we've got Johnny, then AKA, and we have stayed around long enough for our friend Mark to come in. And I am going to end with that because I do need a break between these next spaces and to charge my phone. So thank you guys. So, Johnny, you're up next, and then AKA and Mark.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, sir.
Good, great. Yeah, I'm seeing tweets about like, oh, the youth vote, the youths are turning out big time, but I just hope they're turning out for Dems. And yeah, I'm very anxious right now, and you know, I've sat through bad election nights in the past. I don't want to experience that again. And I know I can't control that, but I'm just feeling very anxious right now. And I just want to ask a question. What do you think about this, the youth turnout? And you think they're voting for mostly Dems or Republicans? Thank you.
Yeah, I feel very positive about it because the overturning of Roe affects them more than it does any other demographic, and for many other reasons. But that is one of the reasons. If anyone else, like Tiff, who is
So
here on the
I
stage, want to speak to it, they
I I,
can.
I posted is my okay. So I posted a couple videos, retweeted them. Um, and look at the lines of how many young women are standing in those lines. I mean, yeah, I think that a lot of this is being driven from Roe.
All right. I want to break in here. Tiff, if you want to speak to it, our Tiff is a rock star, folks. You heard it first here. She has been picked up by CBS. I just threw it up in the Jumbotron. Thank you, Tiff. Check it out. Okay. So, and if you want to speak to Johnny's question about that youth vote turnout, you're welcome to. And if not, it's okay because I know that you watch that kind of thing and are probably better able to speak to it than many others and here with facts.
What
So,
was the question? I'm sorry, I'm trying to cook, so I didn't hear the exact question.
me too. That's why I'm trying to get off here. But basically, he's saying he's seeing, like many people are reporting, he's seeing a lot of youth turnout,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
he's wondering if they are, if we think they're voting Republican or
Oh no.
Democrats. And I told him my feeling was Democrats just simply because of the Roe decision, affecting the youth more than anyone. But that's just me speaking to it just from my critical thinking process. No facts or statistics, and I know that that's what you
All
do,
right.
so I wondered if you wanted to speak to it in that way.
Yeah, no, I would agree that per the reporting in Wisconsin and Midwest. Let's go with let's start with the Midwest. So Wisconsin and Michigan, obviously two hotbeds, a lot of universities. It seems like the lines are insane. Even in Florida, it seems like the lines are insane. Which is good news for Democrats. I would say this because I was at college yesterday. The things that Biden got the biggest applause for: student loan cancellation, even though many of us did, we wanted it to be done by law, which it was. That got a lot of applause. People are very happy about that. If you listen to Twitter, people act like they don't care about that, but I care about it. A lot of people do. People can continue to go to school. I mind you, I was at HBCU yesterday, and the fact that Biden, he said it, I've given you $5.6 billion in money. I've seen all kinds of construction at the university. So those things matter. Abortion got a big round of applause. Climate change, what they did in the IRA, that matters to those young people. So Biden has receipts, and so do the Democrats on what they have done. So I would say more than likely the kid, and you got to remember this. In many states, you can go and register on the day of the election. So what is happening in Wisconsin and what they're seeing is that a lot of people are coming in and they're not even registered to vote, but they're coming and they're registering. And I would say those people are not most likely not Republicans. They're mostly Democrats. So I think that's a good sign for, and it's in places that are very liberal. Like if you're in Madison, Wisconsin, and you're at a university, more than likely you probably are not a Republican. You're more than likely going, this is the Bernie, Liz Warren crowd. So maybe in the end, it'll all work out. Or maybe, in my opinion, Obama sparked a little something in people's ass and was like, y'all got to go vote. Stop playing games. So it could be multiple factors. But I do think Obama has had an effect going out there campaigning. He's our best person, and I do believe that him going out there, and he had a very strong message in Wisconsin. Like he went in Wisconsin. They voted. A lot of people love Obama in Wisconsin, and so I think that those people are going to come out. If Mandela wins tonight or tomorrow or at the end of the week, whenever they finish counting, he better go and kiss the ring and tell Obama thank you and go buy him a car or something because he deserves it. So
Yes, and Obama has a very strong youth connection. He connects with them, his energy, and I also think that our own president was energized by him. I saw a different energy with them there in PA together. And I think that energy just had that ripple effect, that like he helped to energize a lot of other people. So thank you so much for that. I would agree with that, that take. And I know that you have,
and
statistics
one
and
thing
receipts.
say about the Obama thing is that most kids don't know any other president. They only know Obama. You got to remember,
Right.
when you were a little kid, I mean, that was what Obama was president and he became president in 2008. So those people are, my daughter's 20. So they were kids when he was a president. So now, my daughter went with me to vote for him. My daughter's 23. She was 8 years old when I took her to vote. So that's like the only real president she remembers. I mean, obviously Bush was in office, but she doesn't remember him like that. Obama, no, and Biden. Obama is Biden. That's a guy, and then Uncle Joe. Everybody knows Uncle Joe. So this is what the kids relate to. It does, for us, we've known other presidents, but that's what they know. It is what it is.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Tiff, and kudos to your being picked up by CBS. Like I said, this is what happens, folks, when you do the work.
You didn't know?
So
You didn't know I was a star, D? I'm a superstar. I'm a superstar.
I knew that before CBS knew that. Okay, we was just waiting for
Yeah, no, they
everybody
asked
else
me.
to find out.
Yeah, they asked if they could use the video, but I wasn't sure who was gonna take it because the girl was like, it could be used by multiple publications. So there may be others that pick up on it. There's like a source that uses, and they kind of put it out there. So yeah, it might end up in a couple of different places. But it was nice that it was in CBS. I could tell my mother so she could be happy.
Absolutely, and I'm
It was a
telling
really
you.
well caught clip.
It really was. I felt the energy there just from that clip. So yes, yes, yes. Like I said, this is why I'm encouraged. Like I say, one of many reasons. So thank you so very much. So up next, we've got AKA and then Mark, and we're going to wrap up so that we can rest up and I can charge my phone and finish dinner before Tiff starts her space.
I'm going to make this quick. I'm in the middle of doing laundry, but just to let you guys know, it'll be interesting to see what happens on the West Coast and here in LA. A lot of people wait to the last minute to vote. We've had rain here, and this, Caruso dumped $100 million into this race for the mayor. So we're going to have to see if we can weather that storm and get our voters out and you know, put Karen Bass in for LA mayor. It's kind of been all hands on deck because the onslaught of $100 million and the constant barrage. Our county supervisor, or one of our county supervisors, we happen to have an all. Every county supervisor at the moment is a woman. So the county supervisor I helped to elect, she was there telling us, as bad as we think it is, it's kind of like Georgia's worse, but it's the continual onslaught that is just horrific and that people have kind of bought into. So it could be a late night. It may not be. It probably will not be settled this evening, but we're gonna hope that we prevail. And I had the great pleasure of going to the rally where the VP spoke in support of Karen Bass. So I
Thank
posted.
you. Yes, thank you so much. We love those selfies with our current administration or candidates in the running. It helps. I feel like give us inspiration and know that we again are doing everything that we can to support these candidates and letting the candidates know that too, because you may have met her there. I know there's some others in the community that met them, but I feel like every time one of you meet them, we meet them through you. So I just want to thank you for that, and I want to thank all of you guys who have, had such great opportunities and for sharing them with us.
Just one last thing. It was
Hmm.
nice to kind of hear her now and compare and contrast to when I heard her speak when she was running for president. And, this whole BS about her not being personal, not a good speaker, it's BS. And I'm one of the most critical people out here about the way candidates present their message. And she was flawless. It was great. So, we're going to rest after this. But after this, we going to have to pick up that ball and fight that fight.
Absolutely. Like we know how to walk and
Testify.
chew gum, okay? So, we're going to keep doing what we need to do. Tonight we're going to celebrate and we're going to have a little respite, a little rest and reset and get back in there because we have a long game. We people are always talking about the Republicans have had a long game. We have a long game to saving our democracy. And I just appreciate all of you understanding that and committing now. And I know going forward to continuing that work. And for some of you who may not have been here earlier, I did say, and I've talked about my commitment to this space, and it was to get us to this day. And we're here. And I am so grateful. And part of the reason that I continue to do it and have the commitment to it was because of the commitment that you guys brought and the conversations that you brought. But I am going to be taking a bit of a break, and I will be hosting on Mondays going forward. I will be doing some other projects and I'll keep you abreast of those, but Eugene is going to continue going forward. So we're just letting you know that there will be some slight changes, but the opportunity for the conversations that we have here will be continuing. So I want to take a moment to say that here toward the end, if you weren't here before. And I just, like I said, want to thank all of you for your continued support in
And
our
you all know
efforts.
D, and you all know D. She's nosy about these spaces. It ain't like she's going anywhere. She'll be in and out.
Oh
She
no,
needs a
no,
break and
yeah.
needs to take. This is what you call being an adult. When you know it's time to take a break and get. Like this is not easy stuff. We did this for what was it, D? Since last December.
Hmm. Yeah.
I
So
I mean,
that
you gotta know.
almost a
You gotta
year.
like that's the healthy thing to do, right? Is to know when to say, okay, so this is a long fight, and so I'm going to sit down and smell the flowers for a bit. I hope you smell some flowers, D.
Now, look at
Because I
my
know you love
timeline.
them.
Look at my timeline. You think
I
I'm not
know.
smelling some flowers?
I'm telling you.
I love them. So, yes, I'm going to be, I'm going to continue to work. Like I said, we all do what we can in different ways at different times. So, the work will continue and my efforts will continue and my support of all of your efforts will continue as well. So, rest assured of that. It just may not be in the same way and as frequently. So, I wanted to say that and then turn it over to um,
Mark?
Mark, who has come back up. And then, Mark, I know I want to give Kiki an opportunity because Mark is going to take us to church. And I kind of really want to let him close us out. If you got a moment, Mark, do you?
That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Kiki and then
Hi.
Mark.
Hi,
Hi.
guys. I'm going to be quick. I'm just going to say what everybody has said in the past. I am very grateful for this space. I have learned a lot. You guys are magnificent. You hold this on another level. You have always been amazing, amazing supporters of what everyone is trying to achieve in continuing democracy. I went and I voted right after work because I'm a teacher and I had today's a work day for me. So my ballot didn't go in, and I freaked out, and I wanted to see if I could ask for another one, what I could do. And there was a person there that said, "No, no, no, try again." And I said I was really worried because I really wanted to vote. It's a very important election. It's very important for democracy. And as I was leaving, he said, "God bless you for saying that." And this is where we are. This is the kind of people that we can be. It made me feel so warm. It made me feel so welcomed. It took me less than 5 minutes. I had done my homework because my union has vetoed the candidates for me. Actually, all of them, and the ones that they support. They wanted to give everybody an opportunity. They wanted to make it fair. So I read, I informed myself, and I voted informed. Although I am a registered Democrat, the union always gives you a choice, which is what I love, because it's really going to vote and exercising that right. So I just want to say that whoever hasn't voted and there's still time, just go do it. You're gonna feel nice, warm, and fuzzy inside because, like it has been said, you cannot complain if you haven't voted about who is up, and it's important. I used to be a legal resident. Now I'm a citizen of this country. And the first thing I wanted to do, I got my citizenship in 2017 because I really thought that it was very important to vote for that election. Unfortunately, Trump made president, but I wanted to make sure that that wouldn't that wouldn't happen again. Uh, so the second time around, that didn't. So it's very, very important that we do our part and we stand up. We stand up for democracy. And thank you, Dee. Thank you, Eugene. And Dee, whatever you do, I'm gonna be right there for you, right there, my friend. Thank you. Bye.
Thank Thank you so much, Kiki, and I appreciate you and thank you for sharing that story. And yes, for me, it is always a just a warm experience to be able to go and cast my vote and to like actively participate in democracy. So I thank you for that, and I think I'm grateful again to the many examples of and perspectives that the people in this community bring to this space. And, you know, the fact that, you had to wait to vote and, get your citizenship and have that right. And people here who are born here are just, discarding it and not taking it serious or understanding the significance of it. It's why we continue to have these conversations. So, anyway, I just want to thank you all so very much. And we're going to wrap up with Mark and Eugene, and then I'm going to close this out.
Hey, everybody. Democracy first. Happy election day. Uh, and here's the funny part: it's only halftime. Um, Today, this is halftime. There's another half to go after today. No matter what happens, no matter what the score is on the scoreboard, this is halftime for American democracy. Um, at least the contemporary iteration of it right now, as it's under attack. And um, whenever people talk about democracy being under attack, a lot of times it comes from different perspectives. And a lot of times the perspective of the person saying it is not your perspective. Like, you know, there's an equal and opposite person other than you and me that thinks that democracy is under attack. Now, I don't know how they can form their minds to think the same thing that I think. But at the same time, I don't know how someone can form their mind to put a post of their husband talking about on the eighth day God created them and then call themselves a Christian either. I don't know how that occurs as a person that calls himself a Christian. And I went back and did a little reading, read a little bit of the Bible, read some interpretations of the Bible, went back and read some books about people who live Christ-like, and I never heard of an eighth day. I never heard of anyone saying that God created them on the eighth day. That's something that was new to me, and as a person that calls himself a Christian and does his best to be good to people as I want them to be good to me, I think it's blasphemy. But that's the other side that we're fighting against. And so when we talk about democracy, it's a whole set of alternative bases that makes up what they call democracy and what we call democracy, right? Like what we're talking about is the Constitution, which is actually the funniest thing because 20 years ago, these are the same people that called themselves constitutional conservatives, and all they could do was talk about the Constitution. Now the Constitution doesn't even mean anything to them. Where'd the constitutional conservatives go? What happened to those folks? I mean, what happened to them? They're as radicalized as what they would call radicalized um, terrorists, basically, that are amongst us. That are then on there. This talk about civil division and civil war. It's crazy. Civil war was a traitor organization against the United States of America. That's the law. It was legally. It was more than an insurrection. It was a war against the Constitution of the United States of America. Many of these people have taken an oath. They have sworn to protect and defend the Constitution. D, you took this oath when you signed up to be a part of the military. D, and people who are veterans of this United States of America have taken this oath you've sworn to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Now, what is the Constitution? It's Article 1. It's Article 2. It's Article 3 and the 27 amendments that come with it. That's it. You can't pick and choose the parts of the Constitution that you want to protect and defend and not want to protect and defend the others. It doesn't work like that. And so when we talk about what we're in today, is quantitative and it's qualitative. I swore I was going to be a couple minutes too. Quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative, there's more Democrats voting in 2022 than voted in 2018, that voted in 2014, than voted in 2010. We're voting. The amount of
Not sure. Eugene, your thumb over there. Go ahead, Mark.
I am so
Continue.
sorry. I am so sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to do too much here.
Mark.
Mark? You're
Can
on,
you hear me?
Mark. Yeah,
Can you
go
hear me?
ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
go
sorry
ahead.
about that. Did you hear what I said? I was talking about qualitative and quantitative. Um, so there's a qualitative and quantitative. There's more quantitatively. There's more Democrats that are voting than in 2018, 2014, and 2010. Right now, there's more participation that's anticipated. I mean, as of before even election day started, it was almost 50 million Democrats that had voted across the whole country. My numbers might be off a little bit, but when I looked at the numbers, it was an incredible amount of Democrats that are voting across the board. The participation is there. Qualitatively, we see things like we see people like Kari Lake. We see somebody brought up the former president threatening doing all this violence, and we see this old school tactic of trying to scare us and trying to scare us into staying home, but bombing churches and all this stuff. We already been through that stuff before. We've already overcome that. That old spiritual "we shall overcome someday."
It ain't.
Well, that day
It's
is
not new for us.
that day is long and gone. We already overcame that. We trying to overcome new threats. You can't bring us back to the old school because we ain't no fools. Don't bring us back to the old school because we ain't no new fools, right? So when we talk about rule of law, man, Mark Elias and his team, like you said, they're the Clarion D. There's more than Mark Elias and his team, and even that team, they've been preparing these briefs for 6 months. We're smarter than they are when it comes to the rule of law and the legal battles that are going on right now, that are going to be going on for the next 48 hours, probably even more. We're smarter than they are. They have dumb briefs. We've talked about those briefs all summer. We talked about the people that represent them all summer. They don't get any better. There ain't no smart people over there writing these briefs trying to overturn democracy. They're not smart. So what I'm getting at is I'm optimistic about what's about to happen. Even if it doesn't happen exactly the way it's supposed to in my head, I'm optimistic about what's about to happen. I think that the tide is turning. I feel that there's a second breath of democracy that is winning. People understand. I'm hearing that democracy is on the ballot more so than I'm hearing inflation's on the ballot now. It was inflation a month ago. Now people are voting for democracy. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people on the other side that think just as much as we do that they're voting for democracy. That's fine and dandy. And they don't talk. They've established a communication channel. They don't even talk to us anymore. They got Fox News. They just talk to each other. There's an echo chamber, and they say the same thing about us. We have an echo chamber too. I've always welcomed the debate. As you all know, I love robust debate. I've always invited people to come on Democracy First and express their views. But there's a fear there because the fear is facts about what democracy stands for, facts about what we're talking about when we talk about Democracy First, facts how each and every one of you, Tiff, D, Eugene, um, Fish, Carolyn, aka Dr. Marshall, Kiki, Dustin, Shauna, and everybody else that comes on here. We talk about facts. That we never have an argument about what the facts are. We agree on the same set of facts, at least, and then we can have a robust debate thereupon. But man, we talk about the same facts. We don't have to make up stuff. So anyway, there's, as you can tell, I couldn't help. I had to come on here and talk. I just gave a big lecture to my students. I let them go early to vote because I wanted to make sure that everybody voted, and I didn't want to be an impediment involved. So I let my college students go, and I said, go vote. If you need extra credit, I'll give you extra credit. Just go vote. Come with your sticker, man. Come with your sticker on Thursday. Give you extra credit. Hey, borrow a sticker. You just lie to me at least. Something. But it's just important, and I feel the energy, y'all. And I know I talk about law all the time, but honestly, from a grounded perspective, a person that's worked with a lot of people I've worked with a lot of politicians in my years, and I feel the energy. I feel it. I feel like something good is about to happen. Now, it may not happen the way I want it to happen tonight or the next couple nights, but you know, in the immortal words of Sam Cooke, a change gonna come. And I think we're a lot closer to that change than we've been before. I think we fooled ourselves a little bit after 2015, 2016, and thought we were there, and we weren't. But I think we've learned a lesson. And I'll end with that. And God bless. Good luck to everybody. Keep your head up. Stay positive. Don't let none of these people break you down. If you haven't voted yet, you go get your butt out there and vote. Don't boo, vote. Don't whine, go vote. Don't don't sulk, go vote. Every answer to everything you want out of this country, it always leads to go vote. You can't get nothing if you don't vote. You can't complain about nothing if you don't vote. There's nothing that you want, no matter who you are in this society, that you're gonna get unless you participate in this democracy. And your the biggest right this democracy has is that you have a right to participate in it with your single vote. And when your single vote unites with my single vote, that unites with D's single vote, that unites with Eugene's single vote, and DB's vote, and AKA's vote, and Dr. Marshall's vote, and Tiff's vote, we have a collective vote. And that's very powerful. And that's what they're scared of. They're scared of people that are like us in democracy first. They're scared of the democracy because it messes up their idea of power not being to the people, but power being to them and them only. So let's go out and take this country back, make it fair, make it just, make it equality. And let's really, I don't want to be, I'm not trying to really quote Martin Luther King, but let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Tell somebody. Tell somebody. Y'all have a good
Amen.
night. I'll be on later, but have a good night.
All right, Mark, thank you so much. And I'm so glad that you came back and were able to share with us today. We always love it when you do. And absolutely, mm, I think this is a perfect sentiment for us to end on because that's what we're about. Democracy, there is freedom for all. And that's why we're here. That's why we do the work that we do and why we will continue because until we're all free, none of us are free. So, Eugene, you're next, and I'm going to close this out.
So, you know what scares a Republican? You all. I'm not kidding. Like the like if Twitter were to shut down right now, this community has learned ways of being a community and having an effect, right? Like how many people that have learned how to do this now, myself included. Like this has been a learning experience for me, and I would say Dee's probably going to say the same thing. Like the way that this thing, like that people have been able to learn from each other, and I called it a brain trust. This morning in a tweet because that's really what for me it's been. I just like every day I'm learning something, and I think that this ability that has come out of this. Here's what I see is Dee and I didn't we probably really didn't get rolling because I was fighting with trolls for the first 2 months of doing this, right? Like they were all over the place. We were trying to figure out how to do that, but in just that short period of time of how much of an effect and how much we learned with these politicians that were running for office. So now that you all know that going into this next cycle, and Mark is very right. Like, this journey is not over. We have more weapons in our, more arrows in our quiver now as we step forward, and this time much earlier as candidates start popping up or we see somebody that we think would be a good candidate of being able to start working with them early because we know how now all of us know how hard that is at the last minute on these candidates, right? So I just want to encourage everybody to continue to just do what you can do, but also like take care of yourself, you know? Like life isn't all about politics and life isn't all about, you know, whatever subject in life. Life is a very robust and full thing that, you know, don't forget to enjoy it. And that's what's been cool about this community is that some of you have went out enjoying life. You have contributed in that enjoyment of life. I personally, like politics have become my football, right? I don't watch sports, but like it's just it is really there's always something going on in it that just is absolutely you want to get your mind blown, watch US politics for a minute. Right? You know, I lived out of this country for years and coming back it's just it's stunning to me. Like I saw some shenanigans in other countries, but some of the stuff I've seen here, like it's record breaking. Like Trump, just Trump. That's all I'm going to say. But you know, I do, Mark. I really appreciate um, learning from you and you taking the time to contribute and to teach us, right? Like, but to speak a language that everybody can understand, and I'm really big about that. You know, I was real fortunate. I had this physics professor that this guy would like jump up on his desk. Like literally jump up on his desk. He had this like flying crazy afro hair, and like you know he would be screaming at the top of his lungs, and like he kept us entertained, you know, and he spoke the language of us kids at the time. Like we were just at that age where like we needed something to like get our minds off of the crazy stuff that was happening to our bodies and our minds, you know. Anyways, I just think that it's important that, you know, I love seeing when people have that ability to teach others, you know, speaking a language that everybody can understand and making those connections and those metaphors that are um, kind of hard to reach for sometimes when you're trying to get a point across, and you do it very well. So I just want to give you kudos and say thank you. And
Well,
D, as you know, you don't get off that easy. You know how I feel about you, and like I look forward to seeing you on every Monday, and I know you'll pop in and out. I just know you. So, but I do like I want to really encourage you on your folks. She's got a podcast, and I think that she's going to start working a little bit on her podcast, and I would encourage you to like you know support her in that. Because you know, one of the things that with these candidates that I saw, D, is you were really good at interviewing. I mean, you're probably one of the better interviews just from a natural, you know, relaxed, you know, citizen's point of view. Let me ask you some questions. Have a seat. And sometimes that was a oops, I sat in the wrong seat.
well,
Because you
as
were
Mark
just.
say, we like to stick to facts.
I saw that happen a couple times. It was really hard for me not to like jump in with my giggling, you know. But I just want to say I'm really grateful. This has been a wonderful journey, and it's not over. Like we talked about that, but I just like, and I'll probably need to take a break here, you folks, in not too distant future, and knowing that you know this is we did this every day for hours, right? Like some of these rooms in the early days went way too long. All right, D.
Yeah. Thank you, Eugene. Thank you, everyone who has kind of traveled this journey with Eugene and I. And it doesn't matter whether you started in the beginning, whether you came in the middle or at the end, it all matters. I want to thank everyone who ever came in, supported this room, spoke, listened, contributed. I want to thank all special thanks and shout out to the many guest featured co-hosts that we have had who has brought us through. I want to thank Crystal and Bobby and Tamina who all chipped in, and the bench is deep in this community. So I do feel like we have started a conversation that is going to continue, and how that looks, I cannot say. I just know that it will continue because I know you guys. I know I'm going to keep working. And the name of my podcast, which I already have a Twitter handle for it, is Advocacy Arena. It was something that I had started before I met Eugene, and democracy just happens to be one of the areas that I advocate in. And I felt like it was worth me putting all the other things on hold so that I could work this fight and advocate for this. And I'm so glad that I did. But I'm going to pick that back up, and certainly I'll keep you guys posted with everything that I'm doing. And I look forward to actually interviewing some of you guys on the podcast, and creating some opportunities for us to have some, group conversations
D,
around
D,
that.
I nominate Mark as somebody for you to interview. That would be fascinating.
Oh, I already told him that. Like, yeah, absolutely. And before we close out, my buddy Greg has come in here, so I can't let election day go by without giving
Oh
him an
Lord, Greg. Yeah,
opportunity.
no, yeah,
Yes,
Oh,
wait, yeah,
you
no.
know this. Thank you
Yeah,
for.
here comes the mess.
Excuse me. You rephrased that. Here comes Greg. That's a proper entrance for me. Here comes
Which
Greg.
Greg? Wait, like we had this conversation about good Greg, bad Greg. Which one are we talking to
I'm
today?
the bad Greg is the one who you have on had the other day on, and that's not me. Okay, I don't get into fights. I don't get into Twitter fights with locals. I've blocked people. Anyway, so I'm just want to say thank you so much. I'm glad that I'm the last guest. I'm the last speaker. I am so humble and so honored. I saw this show running overtime. I was like, wait a minute, it's 5:20. You just way past your bedtime, D.
you know me, Greg. Sometimes I can't stop because the conversation and the people are so awesome. And so here today, you're the reason we were continuing. You and Mark. So there you go.
Okay, so here goes. I want everybody to keep your heads up. Everything it's going to be all right. Either way, everybody did a great job. What a phenomenal year we have been through. This is the final day. This is Judgment Day. The next couple of days we'll be deciding what's going to be in our future for our democracy. I went out and vote early this morning because I felt lazy not to go and do early voting because the thing was right literally across my street. So I was like, hey, I got time. I could walk in and walk out, and I did it. And I voted. I voted straight down the aisle, Democratic. I'm not giving no Republican, no one, none of my votes. I want to punish them. I have my ideal goal for the next 2 years: punish, punish, punish. And that's what our goal is. If we don't prevail, if certain races that we don't prevail, we're going to go back to the drawing board, regroup, and punish them again next year and the following next. This should be a continue. This should be a continued effort of punishing the Republican Party. I don't want to hear no tears, no tears of no anxious. We shoulda, woulda, coulda on the timeline. I don't want to hear nothing like that of sorts. That's just me, and I'm just gonna mute that energy out of there because you know what? I'm proud of what we did, and we did enough. As you say before, we can't do the influences right now on this Twitter streets and the Twitter space. And all I gotta say is we did a good job, and applaud everybody. Pat yourselves on the back. We made it. So all the anxious and all the society and all that, we could get back to resuming normal life, which is fighting back the Republican narratives and fighting back all the tears. So I want to do what Florida Chris say. I want to see tears. I want to see tears falling from the eyes of Steve Kornacki and his khaki pants. I want to see those tonight when they be gagging about Democrats upsets. That's what we're gonna be. So be prepared. I don't know if I'm gonna do a pop-up space
later on because everybody got their planned spaces and all that. But it is what it is. But I want everybody to have a good time. If you drink, make sure you stock up with all your drinks and snacks together, and make sure if you're like not working tomorrow, just have a good time tonight and just enjoy the the victory laps that we can be doing. So, what is one of the races that might be called tonight? The first states are coming in at like around 7 to 8 to 9 to 10. So this is going to be an all nighter. So guys, so be prepared. So D, I want to say thank you, and Eugene, thank you for, like I said to you before. I'm not going to. I already said what I said yesterday, so I'm not going to repeat myself. But I want to say thank you so much for thank you so much for giving us the election day finale of Democracy First. And I'm glad I'm closing this space off. So I want to say, may the Lord bless both of you and Eugene and give us a continuous of more democracy first further along in the future. It doesn't stop today. It's going to keep on going tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow as tomorrow to the next election. So I want you to just thank you so much for the good job. If you want to take a week off, that's okay. You can take a breather, but y'all did. I want to say you two, you did good.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much, Greg, and we appreciate you, and we will continue to support you. We know that this is your busy season, and anytime you have a space, just send me a DM, and we're. I'm feeling very good and confident,
Same
and I
here.
am glad that you were the last voice here. We love you, and I love all of you and all the work that you have done and the support that you have given me and you have given each other. And I hope that I have supported you in your efforts in this. So I just want to leave you with the words that I do every day and want you to fully embrace these because we have done the work. We're going to leave it all on the line tonight. We're going to celebrate. We're going to rest. We're going to reset and we're going to get back in the fight. And just as Greg said, we're going to continue to punish them. They need to not ever hold any office again until they can come back into the political arena with some darn sense. Okay. And so I want to leave you with these words from the late, great Representative John Lewis. Do not get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful. Be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. Never ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble, necessary trouble. So I know that you guys totally understand that. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming and making noise and good trouble with Eugene and I every day as we have for almost a year, Monday through Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time and I will continue on Mondays, and Eugene will carry the rest. We will continue to have this conversation because the fight is not over. So we will not stop until we have secured the democracy that we need. And I want to thank all of you for all of the efforts that you have done and that I know that you are committed to doing because you know what is needed, you know what the goal is. And, in the words of, John Lewis as well, our vote is one of the most sacred things that we have. And I am so grateful that you guys here understand that and that you're doing the work to make sure every one of us gets the opportunity to exercise that because it truly is the foundation of our democracy. And I'm just going to leave you guys now so that I can go charge my phone and get ready for, the rest of the evening and be ready to celebrate the wins that I know are coming because we have done the work. So we're here. We're not going anywhere, and we're going to get our democracy back on track. And I just want to leave you all with peace and blessings and to remind you to stay hopeful, keep making noise, and good trouble. God bless you all. And I'll see you around in these Twitter streets and in these spaces. Yay, election day. It's what we've been working toward. We're going to be victorious. So stay positive. Keep your heads up. I'll see you around. Love you guys.